What's happening, everyone? Welcome to Knowledge in the Afternoon. This is your boy M3, and I have two guests with me. I have Black David from Canada, and I have R. Sean.
Who live in Brooklyn, New York.
Correction, who lives in Brooklyn, New York. R. Sean, how are you doing today, my brother?
I am wonderful, sir. Hello, everybody. Hello, Black David from Brooklyn.
That's nice. And before I even get to the topic, I gotta give a shout outs to like the people who are tuning in to like the chat. So let me go ahead and highlight 100 watts. He says, "What's happening? What is it, party people? What's up, my guy? Thank you for tuning in." Queen Nita, she says, "Hey, and hey back to you. Thank you for tuning in to Knowledge in the Afternoon." We got the boy Yella. Yella, what's up, man? What's happening? Thank you for tuning in. Okay, we have Don Frank. She says, "Hey everyone, love, share the feed, support this channel. Thank you so much." And then we have Mr. Nimberid. Now I'm pronouncing it wrong. I feel like I am, but I do apologize if I'm pronouncing it wrong. But thank you for tuning in to Knowledge in the Afternoon. And so we're gonna go ahead and get to the topic. So today's topic is, do all men lack ambition in relationships? So let me go ahead and play that dun dun dun. Because you know how that be. And let's see. Nimhard. Okay. So that's how you pronounce it. Nimhard. All right. I would definitely do my best to pronounce it right next time, but thank you. And yes, you was on the financial stream last night with Simon Hectic. So, thank you for tuning in to last night's stream. I see you guys seem like y'all enjoyed yourselves, so hopefully so. But anyways, let's go ahead and get to that. So before I even get to these questions, let me just ask just a question to find my own. When you men hear the word lack of ambition in relationships, what comes into your mind?
Can I answer it? Lack of drive, lack of focus, not driven, not motivated to do anything in life. When I see a question like that, it's very compounded because as a person from a Nigerian background, we were taught to have drive and ambition as
Mm-hmm.
males. You cannot be a man and not have an ambition to do something good with your life. It don't have to be something big, but you need to have a goal, an end goal, which you want to achieve, and that determines the kind of person you will be at the end of the day. And how you achieve it is one thing. But when you say lack of adventure, that's like you just want to have an easy cruise to life. You don't want to do much of anything. You want to have everything easy. That said a lot about an individual. It does.
Mm. Well, before I even get to the next person, and also highlight because somebody also asked elaborate on ambition. And what up, 100 watts? How you doing, my brother?
What's happening? What it is, party people?
What's good on the watch?
Lots.
And Mister, how are you, my brother?
M3, I am
Yeah.
here. I'm here. Let's get it.
Can I say real quick, because he's
Mhm.
sitting here on this panel? Hey, yo, Mr. Dave, I want to give a big shout out to you and the support that you have shown today. Appreciate you, my brother.
Oh, definitely, man. Appreciate you.
Uh, I've spoken quite a few times about people supporting youth organizations, and my man Arshawn made sure that he actually did that, supporting the youth organization. Um, Look, man, just putting money into these cheerleading teams, these football teams, these basketball teams, all of this stuff is important for these kids, man. Y'all make sure y'all taking care of these kids. Any of these organizations that's looking for that, make sure y'all help them out. There's a lot of them out here looking for sponsors and people to help them get uniforms and all kinds of other things. Make sure y'all taking care of the kids, man. That was it.
No. Thank you for putting it out there, man. You know,
All right, most definitely.
yeah,
Yep.
definitely, man. Like it's definitely important, man, to like really, man, help the children out. And you know, and this ties into like with ambition because sometimes you need that figure, that father figure, or just that big brother to help push you to get to your purpose. So, yeah, thank you for sharing that. Let me go ahead and elaborate real quick because before I get to you guys, okay, I don't know if you guys could kind of see this. Let me see real quick, but in the Google definition of ambition, it's a strong desire to do or to achieve something, typically requiring determination and hard work. An example, her ambition was to become a pilot. And then the similarities, aspiration, intention, goal, aim, objective, object, purpose, and so on. So, just in case for people who needs a little bit more clarity of what ambition is, uh, Google search it, and Google will just tell you anything, pretty much everything. And welcome to Mr. Nimhard. Did
Yeah,
I get it right?
yeah, you got it right. It's Nemhard.
Nimhard. Okay, all right.
Yes, silent
Well,
B, silent B.
yeah. And I also want to say a salute to Unleveled Approach. How you doing, Kim? God bless. How
Salute,
you doing?
sis. Salute.
Yes. All right. So let me get to oh actually let me go ahead and start asking okay the first question. Now since we're all here. And Mr. I was earlier I was telling David and I was telling like Arshawn that we're gonna have like something fun because as we get more people in the panel and people start talking at a certain period of time there will be like a countdown to the upper right and then once the countdown ends then I'll play the horn and then we're gonna have fun and go to the next.
Yes, sir.
All right, so
Okay, gotcha.
all right, and salutes to Big Bad Bull. He says knowledge and relationships, peace and blessings to you in the panel, everyone in the chat. Yell says ambition is about drive, it's about power. Yes, that's right.
Hey,
All right,
salute to
so
both. Salute to both brothers. Big Bad Bull and Yellow.
yes, most definitely. Let me put you in the middle, Mr. Best. I mean, Mr. All right, so let's get to like the first question. All right. Do all men really lack ambition in relationships? Would you agree to say most, some, or few? And if so, why?
Let me take a bite out of that. Not all men, because I get where that question is coming from. Because we as black men, we see this in our community. There's some men out there who don't lack ambition. They're the one that staying home playing video game while their girlfriend or wife will go out there to work and do all the work for them, and they come home and they want to get what they call the husband privileges without earning it. So not all men. There's some men out there who don't have. I can't even say lack of it. Don't even have a spark of fire in them. That is my part. I'm a married man, so there's no way being a married man and not having no lack, no ambition, no purpose, no drive, no hunger. You kidding me? Not possible. Not.
Wonderful.
Okay.
All right. So can I take a bat at that one now as well?
Sure, you may.
All right, definitely. So I'm looking at it from a slightly different angle. I would say most men, and I will explain why. As I mentioned earlier in the chat, lack of ambition can be viewed in many different ways. And I believe that some men lack ambition with even the women that they choose. Instead of going for, let's say, higher value women or more women that, let's say, women that are more feminine, women that, can help to bring them from this level to the other level. Some men kind of go for the low hanging fruit. So in that sense, I would say that, did I say most men or some? Well, I would say some men. Apologies. All right. They go for the low hanging fruit, and that is where their lack of ambition shows first. Instead of sometimes, being more sexually choosy or have what you would call discipline, sexual discipline sometimes shows where your ambition falls down. So that is the way I'm looking at it from the beginning in choosing a mate. Before even a relationship stage, the person you choose shows the level of ambition you have to some extent.
Okay. Thank you so much, like for your comment. Um, let me get to Arshawn.
Do I think all men? Definitely not all. Some, not all. And I took a different path on ambition too. I didn't take it as far as like career ambition or personal drive, but within the relationship, I know the reason this topic resonated with me. That's something I had to learn too. Was the relationship needs to go somewhere too, not just your personal development, not just your career development, but your relationship has to be headed towards a specific destination too. Marriage, family. And when I was young, I didn't understand that or care. I was just like, I just want to have fun. So a lot of times that was you're playing with women's years. Like when you're in your 20s, if they have a certain biological clock and you don't, a lot of times we waste a lot of women's years not having the ambition to actually take the relationship anywhere.
Okay, good point. What's your thoughts?
Ooh, I think my answer is actually going to be a few. And here's why I say a few. Is because, of course, there are those dudes that's out there. You know what I'm saying? They be looking for them Section 8 babies. You feel me? They be looking for them baby mamas for the food stamps and stuff. They exist.
Yeah.
They definitely do exist. All right. So we can't ignore them and act like they're not there. But honestly, I think that most men are really I really truly believe that most men are looking for a way for them to be happy, whether that's in their relationship, whether it's in their professional career, or whatever the case may be. Like most men are really looking for a chance to be happy. You know what I'm saying? So that's how you have a situation where there's a lot of single parents out here because you get with someone and then you realize that they're not for you and then you end up leaving them because they're not matching your ambition. That's the problem. Now, Black Man earlier said, selecting your partner is important, which is important. To speak from personal experience, I can think of a time where I was with someone and it was cool in the beginning, and then I just woke up one day and was like, "Yo, like she's sucking all the energy out of me," and had to get up out of there. Right? I think that men in general, we notice when someone's sucking the life out of you, and you got to get up there, get up out of there. That's why I think it's only a few, because those of us that do have the awareness to be able to see that this is not good, this is toxic, this is not working for me, and you're going to take, ooh, yeah, I just think it's a few, honestly.
Okay. Thank you, man. Real quick, I gotta give a shout out to Loverboy Linsky. Thank you for
Man,
tuning in.
Michelle
Gotta give a
Level.
shout out to Miss Mary. Salute to everyone on the panel and in the chat. Blessing to all you guys. Blessing to you as
Salute,
well,
salute.
sister.
Word.
Knowledge relationship. Salute, brother. Queen Nita, hi, beautiful. Glad to see you. And I'm glad to see everyone in the chat and in the panel as well too. Okay, Mister, what you think about the number one?
I think that I think it depends on what instance you're talking about. If you want to talk, you're talking about relationships exactly, which is what I see on the question. I think that I take it from an angle where a lot of times with some women, not all, but some women, especially here in America, even if you try to lead or you try to have ambition, they're not willing to let you lead. They feel like they don't need a man. They feel like they have their own. They feel like they're not trying to listen to a man at all. So, with that being said, you can have all the ambition in the world, but if she's not willing to follow your lead, then it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? So I think that for the men, we have to understand that. You know what I mean? Because sometimes our intentions can be good. We could really be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm gonna really, really be with this girl, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that, and she ain't trying to hear none of that. You know what I'm saying? Peace of Daryl Long. What's going on, brother?
Yeah, salute. I'm trying to share long.
Yeah, she ain't trying to hear none of that. So at the end of the day, you just have to, you have to really find somebody who's on, your same path, who has the same energy and the same vibe that you do. You know what I mean? Like that's what it's really about. You're welcome, brother. You're welcome. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. All right.
Could I respond to that?
Go ahead.
I saw something that Loverboy put about people guys to make mistake by making a bad choice doing dating, and I think the reason why we have that issue with dating is because keyword you're dating, you're not vetting, you're not trying to figure out who that person. When you date somebody, you get what they call a fourth representative of that individual. I understand why Anton, Daniel, and very few others don't promote dating. They don't believe in dating, and that's what caused us a lot of trouble. I went through the dating phase. It did not help me. It wasted 10 years of my time. While you dating, everybody pretend to be something they're not. Now, if you courting or you work with people in your network being that friend, you able to make better choices because you see them in that natural habitat.
Hey, Black
And I'm
man,
thinking,
can you do me a favor and explain the difference between dating and courting? And this is why I'm asking you, because I hear a lot of people say we don't need to date, we need to vet, right?
I'm
But
glad
I
you
don't
asked
see
that
I
question.
don't see the difference. And then when we look at how high the divorce rate is, what is the difference in terms of timing? Because someone can fake just as well during your vetting process as well as the dating process. So please explain to
And
me the difference.
let me explain that very clear. When we get into the dating thing, we all try to give our best representative of ourselves. We going a little bit too far. We trying to overdo. We trying to outdress or look the par. That's not who we are. Now, when you go into the courting stage, to get to the courting stage, you gotta go to the friendship stage. When you're friends with people not trying to pretend what they are or what they're not. They're being their natural self. So when Anton say link with people with your network, you could go to college. You use college for example, 4-year college or 2-year college. No time you spend there, you get to know an individual. Am I correct? You don't know who's who is not among your peers. Now, as you're observing, you're watching, you can tell if they put it in the right for you or you're not. If you just put it in the right for you, the next day it's the courting. You want to put them to the side, let them know, I want to do something. I want to do something serious. I want to have a serious relationship. But before I do, I want to know who you are. And that's where you have that phrase where you can ask tough questions. It's not like you're dating. You're like, you look at one-on-one better between both sides. She's betting you and you betting her. She asked a tough question, you asked a tough question. You don't have to involve sex in the mix of it because you look at the back of the yesteryears. Remember, there was no dating scene. You had to go to the pop, talk to the pop. I love your daughter, this and that, and they had what they call the exit interview. The father is grilling you, the uncle grilling you. We had two or three brother watch you from the side eye, like, what wanted my sister for? I don't like her. They quick to disqualify you. So you have that back in the yesteryears, right? In today's term, we need that thing with a code whereby you don't have to go to the dating because let's be real, dating is a multi-trillion-dollar industry. When you're going on a date, who is spending? Who's making money off you? You gotta buy the flower, you gotta take to the nice expensive restaurant, you gotta do all that extra, etc. Imagine what's going on when you do all that thing. And you put all that money investment into a date, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 days, and kind of unproductive. Do you get your money back? No. You're gonna go down the drain like investing in a bad stock. That's exactly what it is. You get what I'm saying? In courting, you're not wasting money. You saving a lot of money. You're not getting yourself hurt. Take it from me.
And I hear you, but I honestly think that it doesn't matter whether you're dating or whether you're courting, whether you're friends. It's all a matter of the people that's in there. Because if I'm courting a female, if I'm dating a female, if I'm friends with a female, if I don't know a female, I'm the same exact person. Ain't no representative. You're gonna get exactly who I am. You see what I'm saying? That's why I don't understand when people make that distinction. Because if you're going to fake your way into getting to somebody, you're gonna fake your way to getting to somebody. Period.
So you say
Like,
you can fake way being a friend?
say again?
Are you saying people can fake themselves being a friend, like be a fake
Oh,
friend?
for sure. You ain't never had a fake friend in your life? Somebody that come around you and they talk all that sweet stuff, that cool stuff. Let's kick it. Let's have a good time. And then when they go around other people, they talking bad about you. People
I had
fake
that, but the
everything.
thing is, they pretend to be fake. They didn't know I was watching them. They tend to know that I play the fool. So I let people expose themselves. So when I know who you are, I know what to do. So when the time comes right, I let them know I know who you are. I'm not wasting my time. You go your way, I go my way. At least I didn't waste no money. I didn't waste no investment.
I hear you.
You get what I'm saying?
Oh
I
wait,
don't
hold
want to
on,
lead. I don't want to
gentlemen.
lead the show down the wrong path because we could do this all. I don't want to lead it down the
Yeah,
wrong path. I got you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Real quick, gentlemen. I gotta give a shout outs to Candid Ann. Thank you for tuning in to Knowledge and Relationships. Well, specifically knowledge in the afternoon. So definitely appreciate you. Everybody, get the likes up, share the videos, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you guys are, well, guys and ladies, if y'all new to here, and I'm just reading the let's see the comments. Okay, y'all says 100 watts is on point. Vetting and dating are one and the same. All right, I need to get to the number 2 question, but before I do
let me
that,
say something real quick.
oh, go ahead.
When you first meeting somebody, you know what I
Mhm.
mean. A lot of times you are meeting the representative. Shout out to Bro Clarence. Definitely like to subscribe to Let's Talk Better Black Life. When you are meeting somebody, a lot of times you are meeting a representative. They're meeting your representative because you're gonna put on your best self. You know what I'm saying? Or at least you're gonna try to. Doesn't mean you're being fake. That means you're just trying to really show them that hey, I'm a really cool person. You know what I mean? I do want to get to know you, or whatever. You know what I mean? They're gonna do the same most of the times too. Now remember, you don't really know this person. You don't live with them. You know what I'm saying? So the determining factors there. So you don't really know somebody like that because you haven't really made a lot of lifestyle choices that will impact you getting to know them on a different level. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm not advising anybody to move with somebody quickly. That's not what I'm saying. You know what I mean? But understand that if you don't live with them, if you don't really have any kids by this person, if you haven't done anything life changing with this person, then yes, you don't really know them like that. I mean, you know parts of them, but you're not really get to know them until you start making those choices or those things start to come into play. That's just really normal for I think really anybody. You know what I mean? So, and I think also it wouldn't be wise to lay all of your chips on the table. I mean, you could, but yeah, I don't think it's the wisest thing to do. So.
All right. Thank you. Great advice, though. By the way, gentlemen. Okay, I'll say my little part right for the number 1, and then I'm gonna jump quickly to the number 2. Do all men really lack ambition in relationships? Of course not. Um, However, I would say that, of course, you have some men of today that do lack some type of ambition, but there's a reason why for those men that lack ambition in relationships. Right now, relationships today is going just crazy. It's going left and it's going right and just sideways this way and that way sometimes. And so it's like, what are the incentives for for men to really be ambitious when it comes to like dating in these relationships or to get married? A lot of times, especially from the manosphere, that I usually hear a lot that people will try to say, "Don't get married," or don't be in like a long committal type of relationship. But we'll get more into that later. But let's go ahead and get to like the number 2.
Let me say this real quick.
Oh,
100
no
Watts,
problem.
did you want to finish your point? I know you were trying to say something, so if you want to finish your point, go ahead, bro, before you go to number 2.
No, we good. We can go to number 2. Like I said, I just didn't want to take us down to a deep hole, so we can go ahead and go to number 2 because I'm
All right,
pretty sure
cool.
it's gonna come up again.
All right,
Oh
let's
yeah,
get it.
yeah. We'll definitely carry that on. The number 2. Does every man lacking ambition get labeled as lazy? If he is simply, what if he's simply depressed, discouraged, not motivated?
Can I take
Uh,
this one first?
yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna say definitely yes, and this is my personal opinion. Right? I definitely believe that any man that is not moving
Sure.
with intent and ambition, doesn't have ambition in his mind, then you are being lazy. You are allowing those things that are in your life that are taking you down to do it, right? You're making a choice for those points that you have in your life, those things that you have going on in your mind. You're allowing them to keep you down. Because I'm pretty sure each and every one of us here on this panel, everybody that's here in this chat right now, has all had moments to where we've been depressed or not feeling good or not feeling your best. And the only thing you can do is acknowledge it and continue doing what you're doing. That is the only thing you can do. So anyone who does allow that to take them from what they're doing, I do believe that it's making you lazy because you're making a choice to continue sitting in that. That's my personal opinion.
And personally, I could not agree with you more, sir. That is right along the point that I was trying to make, that I was the way I was going to answer that question as well, because it comes down to choice. And here's the thing, as men in where we are right now, I believe we have to understand our masculinity and understand that you do not get bowled over so easy. You have to have mental toughness and mental strength to handle a lot of what you have to deal with as a man, sometimes on a daily basis. You know, you have to evaluate your position. You have to know where you are and what are the things that are causing you to, for example, not perform the way you should be performing in whichever aspect of your life, whether it be financially, whether it be in the working world, or whether it be personal or within the family. You have to sit down and evaluate and take your feelings aside for a second and just get to what you have to do to get yourself back on track. Because, as you mentioned, if you're slipping, and this is not to say that you cannot fall down from sometimes, but you have to be taking action to get yourself back on the horse, back in the saddle, and do what you need to do from a relationship standpoint and also from a life standpoint.
Okay, okay.
Let me answer
Can
that
you
one.
go ahead?
What the two brothers said ahead of time is right on point because there was a time I was depressed. I was feeling out of. I'm not gonna lie. Every black man here on this panel and in this chat, one day or other, got to a moment in life where they were feeling depressed. They were going through something in their life mentally, and they had to like exit themselves out of the situation and figure what they need to do before they get to the next level. Because believe me, depression is real. Mental sickness, mental health is real. There'll come a point in time you get to a roadblock and you trying to move forward, but you can't move forward. It's holding you back, and you're trying to figure out why. Sometimes you end up feeling suicidal about it, and that will make you look like you're late, but people don't understand what you're going through. That's why we need mental health institutions to help our black people to resolve these issues before it get too worse. Because we lose a lot of people these days in today's society. Forgive me for the noise. I got my grandkids in the household, so when you get a little noise, that's them.
You okay?
Hey, you mind if I ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
When you're talking about ambition, are you talking about career ambition? Or are you talking about to progress the relationship? Because my answer varies depending on that.
Well, most like whatever that helps you to progress in the relationships.
Okay. Because the ambition in the relationship, that's going to be one of those gray areas for me. Because I know people who don't have what most people call ambition. Because most people take ambition like looking to grow and develop and like attain. And sometimes in a relationship, there's also to maintain. So I know some people who are definitely not lazy, who they are aggressively protecting and providing for what they have to maintain it as it is. And that's an ambition too. I desire to keep this structure intact against any threats. And I don't think that's lazy to take that path. But there's also the people I want to grow and evolve and I want to do new things with you and I want to become new and we'll fall in love all over again as we both grow and evolve and reach new levels. That's a different type of ambition too. So there's the maintain and there's the attain. And they're both types of ambition, but somebody that's looking for attaining may not look at maintaining as something worth holding on to. But there are people that just want to keep the status quo. They will put a lot of work into it. They're not lazy by any means, but they're not looking to do new things. I just want to keep what I got. I want to be here every weekend with you, sitting, Netflixing and chilling, so we're not going on vibrant trips. So I mean, I think there's different paths for different people, depending on, but you need the communication to know what your partner is looking for as well, because they may look at you as lazy if you're not on the same track.
I could definitely, I definitely get that one. Real quick, in a chat, like Daryl Long made a good point. He says mental health is not taken seriously in the Black community. Also, African Americans don't have the same level of access to health care. That part I do agree to that, which also ties into, um, like, they could also be not motivated or discouraged. Sometimes, look, maybe from the start, you're ready to conquer the world. You're ready to do this and you're ready to do that. But life can still like try to beat you down. And especially like for, Black men in specifics, we go through like a lot of stuff that can easily be ignored, because we're not like, society doesn't really look at us to a high regard. You know, it's kind of like tiers. I don't know, like, there's a high tier, top tier, low tier. It's like people want to treat us like we're like the bottom tier. And so when it comes to that, we don't really get the help that is needed. And sometimes that could just be a lack of motivation, but it doesn't mean that we're lazy. Let me see. Let me get to but thank you for sharing. And let me get to Mr. Well, actually, hold on. Before I get to you, Mr. I just want to see if Black David was finished with his. Well, I think he's still preoccupied. You want to go next, Mr.
Sure. I think like Daryl Long was saying, like mental health is not taken seriously enough in the Black community. Like there's sometimes people they want to have control, but they're not able to have control. So we have to understand that. We have to take that very, very seriously. And that's not the fact that they're lazy. It's the fact that at times they're just, they've hit a fork in the road which they cannot control. And I think with that, when that happens, they got to have people around them that can pull them out. Because a lot of times they're just told, oh, just shake it off or just do this and that. And it's not that simple. It's not that simple for some people. You know what I mean? For some people, yeah, you can do that. Like you can shake it off and keep it going. You know what I mean? That would be ideal, right? But, at times that's not ideal for everyone. So we have to basically see where that person is at, what help they need. You know what I mean? So that they can live a healthy life. The biggest thing is that you want them to be healthy. You know what I mean? We want Black men to be more healthy. And I think that's really the biggest issue is the fact that, we don't take, Black men's health seriously. You know what I mean? And that can lead to a lot of issues. Trust me. I know.
See, the only pushback, I don't disagree with what has been said. I don't have any disagreement with what has been said. The only thing that I have in my mind, for one, I want to apply the context here that I know that I'm speaking from a certain bias, right? I'm speaking from a bias that I luckily have the VA hospital behind me, so I have access to that, right? So I have the ability to make an appointment if I need it to go see someone in mental health. I'm speaking from that bias. However, at the same time, I do understand, like the phrase we hear, "Don't hate the player, hate the game." Look, man, we know that it's not set up for us. We know that we're not in a position to be able to receive those same benefits that our counterparts may have from other cultures, right? We understand that. So when you understand that the game is set up differently and you're not doing anything to change your position, if you wake up in the morning and you say, all right, I don't have access to health care, and you're not doing anything to gain access to that, whether it be getting a different job, whether it be finding out how much it actually costs, right? How many times people that don't have access to things like that, how many times have you went online to go look at how much it costs from Blue Cross Blue Shield? Do you even know what it costs for these services, right? So I understand that the access isn't there, but at the end of the day, especially as Black men, the only thing that matters is results. Results is the only thing that matters, especially for us. So when you know you're not getting the results that you need, you have to do your part to get the results that you need to be right. And that's just the unfortunate reality of our position. So is like, can two things be true at the same time? Is Playboy dealing with something? Yes, Playboy is dealing with something. But is Playboy doing anything to change what he's dealing with? Is the question.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm not speaking to someone who's mentally healthy. That's someone who has a sense of healthiness in their mental health where they're cognitive. I'm talking about somebody who's not cognitive. Okay, which can happen in mental health. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? And shout out to Sherelle And Queen Nita, I see y'all in the building. Know what I mean? But yeah, I'm
Shouts to
talking
Big Wig
to
Slaps.
that. Yeah, Big Rick Slaps, what's going on, brother? I'm talking to that. You know what I mean? I think that overall we just have to basically see where that person is at and how and what level and stage they are, because even in mental health there's different degrees of mental health. There's some that are very cognitive, they can even actually probably even work, some of them. You know what I mean? They're able to maintain a schedule, they're able to work, as long as they take the medication or they go to their appointments, they're good. But there's some where, you can't leave them in the house by themselves. If you do, they may not be here. You know what I mean? So it depends on the severity of the diagnosis of mental health. You know what I mean? And that comes from somebody who has a parent who has mental health issues, and and they're not able to cognitively handle the situation by themselves.
Right. And that part, right, before I get to a Black Man David, that part I definitely do agree with you, which that's why like we as a people need to pull ourselves together so we can help support the ones who can't really mentally support themselves. You know, I know it's a difference like for somebody like who's cognitively aware and could do all these things, but you don't do it. Now you just complain, but you're not putting the effort into it. But then there's a lot of people who unfortunately, right, are like mentally like not mentally stable, or they're just not really intellectually aware of some of these things. And so, if we know something that we could help, man, just take the time to help them out. Black man, Black David.
You right about that because
Mhm.
Moderate,
I have a lot of
bro.
personal experience now already went by. I was like a big brother to a lot of people who are going to try in their life, and I can almost pinpoint where it's coming from. But how you approach those individuals, everybody's not the same. Sometimes they need that big brother cover whereby you let them know I got you. Don't worry about it. Don't care what anybody. I got you. I'll cover you. And sometimes I'd have had people stay around me for a while just to have what they call a one-on-one conversation to open up to kind of understand where they're really coming from. 'Cause I have people that are telling me whereby they're coming from broken homes where the level of abuse is just it's not something you can't imagine ever gonna happen because we live in a society that people will be smiling like this to you just to hide the pain and the misery they're going through on a daily basis. I remember the first time I approached a kid, I was what, 15, Big Brother program back in summer school. And a 9-year-old kid told me about what he going through with his mom and dad constantly fighting left and right and how it scared the hell out of him. Can you imagine young kids going through these things and when they get older, it kind of affect them in a much bigger scale than what it is? Not everybody comes from a perfect home. Let's be real. I came up from a broken home. My mom and dad got divorced and married and back and forth to the point whereby it affected me. I thought I would never go get married, to be honest with you guys. I'm be upfront. I'm keeping it real. I thought I was never going to ever be married because when you watch your own parent get divorced and married, divorced and remarried, divorced and remarried, and you look at that, you ask yourself, do I want my life to be just like that? Oh, hell no. You start to distance yourself from a lot of female. You start to be like a hermit. You like, no, forget it. I'm not going to make no mistake with it. You want to keep yourself from everybody. Imagine some people feel suicidal because of that. I had to talk to guys and listen to their stories and hear the pain in their voice, to hear the misery they're crying out for help. I stopped maybe 3 to 4 people in my life for committing suicide because they felt like there's nothing for them in this world. I used to be suicidal too at one point. So I understand what mental health can do to a person. When you don't have that help, you don't have that hand to reach out to, someone to pull you out of it. As black men, we supposed to be like big brothers. You put to understand nobody is perfect. No one has it easy. But sometimes I know this happened a few months back, and one person came on the Peep Network and called out Anton for thinking away like it's not my job. I know Anton was wrong on his part because his life was different from everybody else. He came from a strong home where mother and father were there. There was no friction. Not everybody have the luxury. Anton don't understand that because he never lived it. I lived it, so I'm able to understand it. Then what I tell you, certain people who have that experience can fully understand what other people are going through. This way you can help pull that person out. In Brooklyn, New York, there's not so many mental health institutes that people can go to that are cheap for them. The mental health institute that they have is the church. Now the church is not strong enough to deal with that. Where else can you go? I'm speaking real talk right now because this is a big deal to me. Because black men who feel suicidal, they don't know what, they got nowhere to talk to, where to go to release that anger and rage and feed their mind. You know what it does to a black man? It crippled them. It dismantled them. It hold them down. So I can fully comprehend what it's like to be depressed. What it's like to feel like there's no way out. What it's like to feel like this the end for me. I used to be like one guy in my 20s who didn't like himself. I'd be this close to the subway, whereby it touch him. I don't touch see if I can scare myself. I didn't get scared. People look at me like I'm crazy. Some people are walking time bomb just for a moment before they throw them something on the train track. Do you know how people throw that something on the train track the last 6 months in New York City? I live in Brooklyn, New York. People are taking their life out, jumping on the train track, jumping from the car because they can't take it no more. This pandemic broke a lot of people. So I fully comprehend that. Just that we need unity in our black community and stop the game playing, stop pointing finger at people. I take it a little bit too soon when it comes to mental health and depression because I went through it myself. If you make a market of it, you caught on the line with me personally. That's what's up.
I wanted to say this part right here. I don't disagree with anything that Darrell is saying in the chat because those again are the realities, right? So like I spoke about early in my point, the game is set up in a way to where we're at a disadvantage, right? We are completely at a disadvantage, right? And I know that 100% sure. What I'm saying is when you have someone who knows, if you know, right? Because like Mr. Best in the World said, there's some people that in terms of their mental health, it's a little far beyond just going to see somebody about it, right? It's a little bit farther beyond that, right? But for those of us that are able to operate and you're aware of your mental capacity not being where it's supposed to be, and you know you don't have the resources around you, what are you doing different? Okay. If you don't have the money to be able to pay the $200 a month, because I just looked it up right now, $200 a month is the lowest plan you can find for family and individuals on Blue Cross Blue Shield. I didn't do a whole bunch of research just now. I just pulled it up. $200. If you can't afford $200, what are you doing in the meantime? Are you communicating with a big homie, a OG, a aunt, a uncle, a grandparent, a coworker, a mentor, a teacher, something? What are you doing? If you know that these things are set up for you to fail, what are you doing in the meantime? Because again, as he stated, there's a lot of responsibility that needs to go to these politicians in order to change some of these policies for these to work the way that they're supposed to. However, in the meantime, what are you doing to help your situation? Because as we've talked about plenty of times on these panels, walking in your purpose, your ambition, finding the right person, all of that, it all starts with yourself. It all starts with you. So what are you doing for you to change your situation? Because if you're working a job that you don't want to be at, what are you doing to get out of that? Are you going to school? Are you looking to earn certain set of certifications so you can change your job? Are you looking to go pick you up a trade? What are you doing for you? Stop complaining and crying and all of that. And I don't want to turn it into like a thing to where people can't express how they feel. But at the end of the day, again, it's all about results. It's all about what you can do. So if you acknowledge where the shortcomings are and you are not doing anything to change those, what are you doing?
All right, real quick, I gotta give a shout outs to First Lady Tammy and then Mr. Himhart. I don't think I got to you yet, so I do apologize, my brother. First Lady Tammy, salutes to you. She said it's possible that mental health is not taken seriously because it is looked as being vulnerable, and men are not allowed to be vulnerable because vulnerability equals weakness. Mr. Hemhart, what you think about that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what Tammy just said, that, trust me, hits the nail right on the head right there. That is that is a huge percentage of the challenge we have. The other challenges, because if you could put the discussion point up top again, I'll go through that and you know, all right, fine. So we speak about being discouraged, we speak about lack of motivation, and we speak about depression. If you take those three words in context, if you're not motivated, so let's interchange motivated and discouraged. Your motivation can cause you to become discouraged, and that can lead you into depression. So the quicker you can understand what is happening to you, when, let's say, you start to have these thoughts in your head that's not normal for you, your attitude, even the way you deal with your friends, start to change. I think it's a part of what was said earlier. What are you doing? At what point do you catch it? Because at some point you are going to need this professional help. Professional help we're talking about. But the sooner you can catch and understand what is happening within your mind, within your body, and the way that you interact with your friends, and reach out for help. At the early stages, it may be a case where you do not need a lot of help. You may just need to hang out with your friends some more. You may just need to, chat to someone, find someone and talk with, because depression is real and it is nasty. It can, I mean, I don't think you need any more explanation of how dangerous it is. You mentioned just now that people are walking out in front of the train and stuff like that. So that tells you people are giving up. People are getting to the point where they have given up. There's nothing, they don't see anything to live for anymore. I mean, I am coming from a different demographic because I am actually in Jamaica. All right. And there are certain things that are slightly equivalent to America and other places. Mental health, especially for males in Jamaica, is not seen as anything to be worried about. If you look on the streets, just about every day you can see a new homeless person. So males in some areas, in some ways, are not basically valued to a certain extent. All right. So I mean, it's hard everywhere, especially for males. It's really, really hard. And as was mentioned just now, certain things are seen as weaknesses for males. So that is also part of the barrier. Some of us do not feel like we should reach out for help because we will be seen as weak. I think sometimes us as men need to understand that we need help too sometimes, and reach out for help before it gets to a point where we cannot handle it on our own anymore. So I mean, that's just my 2 cents for that one.
Nah, I think that was more than just 2 cents, but that was definitely, dollars. I would say like that. That was dollars of wisdom that you put out there. So now that's greatly appreciated. Get to like the number three. Um, so this one, let me make sure. Um, this one I will put like the timer on there, right? We're gonna go a little faster on for this one, but number three is: does anyone feels like women push the men in their lives, significant others, sons, grandsons, adolescent males, to be ambitious, too hard, and too fast to the harm of the relationship?
Yes and no.
Okay, what's your reason?
Yes, they maybe put. There's some women now these days they won't push their man to be a little bit too ambitious. Oh, I want to have the nice. I want to have the bulky bag. I want to have X, Y, and Z. So when you start to put that type of pressure on a man, like, oh, you're not good for my girlfriend. Hey, she got this for my boyfriend, this and that. I got this for my husband. So what you do is you're trying to push a man over the edge, feel like he has to do the same to compete. That's one part. No, Women sometimes put a man to be ambitious in a different way, whereby they tell you, oh, I can see something in you. You better than this. You can do better than this. So the other way, they can convince that part in you to say, no, wake up, stop slipping around. This is what you need to do. You need to get on top of your cue. That's why I say yes and no. I can say more, but I don't got enough time.
All right, thank you, thank you. All right, Arshawn, I see the smile on your face. So it look like you got something to say.
I was just laughing at the way Black David dropped off. He's like, "Say more, but I don't have enough time." No, I don't.
Okay.
I do think that some women do push ambition, but I think it's part of their nature. Women have an expansive nature. You know what I'm saying? They push things, they propel. I mean, that's part of their nature to push things forward. That's an itch and a drive that they have within them for themselves and for the man a lot of times. Like where's this going? Where are we going? How are you getting there? Like there's something within in them innately. So I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it can cause harm in the relationship if you're not sound enough to deal with it. Like, I mean, anything that you're not ready to handle can be harmful. You know what I'm saying? Before you're ready to cook on the stove, a stove is just a tool. But if you're not ready for it, you can burn yourself or burn your house down. I mean, so too the women's nature is. Like, if you're not ready to cope with it and handle it, it can, of course, break the relationship up because you as a man you don't know it. You don't know about it. You're unaware of how to handle it, how to stem the tide because they're going to push. You have to be able to say, wait a minute. I know where we're trying to go. Let me tell you again how I'm trying to get there, and these are the steps we're going to take. And you have to be able to hold your ground when it comes to them pushing you so far. Because to me, I always put the responsibility on myself. What am I doing? Because there's going to always be pressure from outside. There's always going to be pressure. So like,
I'm sorry to interrupt you, my brother.
That was 20 seconds extra.
I know. I'm sorry.
I didn't even see that. I didn't even see that. My fault. Didn't see the time.
Was on fire though, but I was like, oh man, like I gotta stick to the time though. But thank you, man.
Didn't see it. My fault.
No, you good though. All right, see who else want to go next?
Well, okay. So,
anybody?
Yeah, I'll do it. All right. Yes, to some extent. No, to some extent. All right, fine. We're living in a world right now where everything is fast. Everything is fast going. Sometimes the females, even you as a male can believe that you need to up your game to suit your spouse. What you do to up your game and how you go about upping your game. That is sometimes where the challenge lies. Because you can try to up your game, which it is out of, she can be out of your league in the sense that you cannot provide for her the way she wants. And if she is not willing to come down to your level, you can have a challenge. Now, if she basically wears the pants in the relationship, whereas you cannot say to your woman, okay, this is what I can do, and we're going to find a way to make it work like this, and she's not coming onto your schedule, then you're going to have challenges. You may push yourself out of the relationship, basically up yourself to a level where you cannot manage. Done.
All right, I gotta read this comment real quick from Candy Ann. She says, "Yes, I heard to mother saying my son is going to buy me a house when he gets older. That's not your son's responsibility." The funny thing is, I hear that a lot of times from these mothers, though. Yeah, I find that kind of funny, though. But it is what it is. 100 watts. You ready to go next?
I'm gonna have to say that I agree with the gentleman where it's like a yes and a no thing, right?
Mhm.
Because like she said, there are mothers that push their sons and be like, oh, my son gonna go to the pros, he gonna be a pro football player and stuff like that, and that might not be his purpose, right? But the reason I'm gonna say no is this: any man that understands what his objective is, any man that understands what his particular goal is, you have to stand in that particular goal. Okay. Rashawn made a great point that women do have a thing to where they know how to ask questions to get you to think a little bit deeper, to get you to delve a little bit deeper into the thought process that you may have, right? But I was having a conversation with a young bull not too long ago. His plan was originally to go into the military. He's about to graduate soon. But his girl is talking about, no, we need to move out here and we can get an apartment and we can both find a part-time job and all of this. No, you understand what your objective is. Don't let her push you that way, bro. Sometimes it's not pushing you too hard. It's pushing you away from what you were intending to do. It's not too hard. It's pushing you away from what you were intending to truly do. I think that's the problem.
All right. That's all. That's clear. All right, Mister. You know. You ready?
You go to the next question. I ain't got nothing to say. You go to the next question.
Okay, no problem. I'll say this though for the number 3. Put the timer myself. I do believe that it can be a good and bad because it depends on the woman's intention. I do believe that most women in relationships when they see a potential in a man, I feel like they want to help, but some of them probably don't know how to help, and then it could come off as negative. Now you have the others who they also see the potential, but it's what is your motive? Like, are you with them in the long haul? So meaning okay, are you willing to wait for the process to happen for him to get to his purpose, or do you just want to meet him at the finish line? And whatever that's based off your intention, that's how it's going to come out. That's the outcome of it. All right, let me stop. Go ahead.
Get in just real quick, not even the full 60 seconds. Like what y'all
All right.
makes an idea pop in my head. You guys made a good analogy, like driving, and like she's the passenger. If she's your co-pilot, if you don't have clear directions and you haven't communicated those directions to her, of course she's going to give you bad. She's going to take you off course. But you have to know exactly where you're going, and you have to communicate that to her. Otherwise, the turn-by-turn navigation, it's going to be all off. She's going to have you over here or over there, and you're going to miss some turns too because you don't even know where you're going. So, I mean, those two components are important.
All right, thank you. All right, let's get to the number 4. Why do some men leave the women? Oh, sorry. Why do some men? Why do some men leave the women that encourage them to find a way once they gain success after many years of push from the extrinsic motivator? Mister, you know. You want to go first on this one?
No, go ahead. I'll go last.
Okay, for sure. Mister. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll take it. I believe, well, this can be a multidimensional reasons for this kind of activity. It can be a case where young boy feels that I've made it now. He doesn't need her anymore for whatever she was providing for him, meaning encouragement. Or it can be a case where he wasn't clear on his path in the first place. He was basically allowing the co-pilot to lead. Now that he's in a place where he may not need that co-pilot anymore, then he basically cuts her off. I think it comes down to what a person wants, the dynamics within the relationship, and each relationship is unique. So it comes down to the dynamic in a relationship, and the kind of encouragement he was getting and how he perceived that encouragement. Because maybe if he feels that he was being pushed along a particular path, which wasn't a path that he wanted to go down, then he may react in a particular way, even though he is no more successful.
All right, thank you. And what's this upselling? Okay.
Let me answer it.
All right.
I think this is a very trick question because what Nimhard said, it could be correct, but at the same time, it could be there's some men who didn't have no ambition. When they came along, she invested that man, she motivated that man, she pushed that man. By the time he comes successful, he may have what they call a little ego trip. But like, I don't need her. So what? I could find better women than her. So do it up and leave. That is almost a common thing when you have some women who trying, how would I say, build a man. I'm sure you people heard that term before. Well, a lot of women go out there trying to pick men and build them up. When they do build them up, now realize the man just all the time they build some kind of ego. All the time he just decides, you know what, I'm better than her. I can find someone better than her. The upper leave. And all her investment just went out the door to somebody else's hand. So I can see that happen too as well.
Okay, okay. All right, thank you for sharing. All right, excuse me. All right, Sean.
I was about to say this is another thing that could go both ways. So not every time this happens is a negative. So sometimes some relationships like was it's negative, but it's not intentional. Sometimes when you reach a certain level, some people don't evolve with you. So like whether it's wealth or mentality, it doesn't matter what relationship it is. It could even be your own mother. Sometimes you reach a certain level and your own parents don't understand what your new mission is, and they don't agree with you, and you can't have the same relationship because you're just on different paths now. Sometimes though, your ego gets involved. Now, and this is what I say is negative. Like this is intentional. You then get you all the new attention, all the new adoration, or you got a new level, and you see yourself differently. And that other person now doesn't fit your vision, your selfish vision, and you're like, ugh, that's a bad look for me. Let me upgrade. Like somebody put in the chat, upselling. You know what I'm saying? It's like sometimes that's an ego thing. I need to upgrade to reach my new level. That's one thing. But sometimes the it's an organic split. And it's like, it's not intentional. That's what I mean when I say that it's not intentional. You're not doing it selfishly. It's just like you just happen to have different paths and the other person just can't come along with you because they're not evolving at the same rate. I mean, it happens to friendships, everybody.
All right, thank you. Upselling is a learned behavior from the labor market applied to personal life. Okay, okay. Warren Watts, you wanna go next?
I'm glad you let me go when I did because I had to process that question a little bit. Um, the point Arshawn made, I think, is amazing, right? Because when you do get to a point to where you're better than where you were when the relationship initially started, it's about is my partner willing to grow with me, right? Because the things that I required from you when we got together are not the same things that I require from you now that I got my feet under me, right? The reason I had to process that is because like it's like the way that I'm built. It's just like if we was in the gym shooting together, I can't see myself just leaving her behind like that, right? But yeah, like that the part about not wanting to grow with me, and then the other part about that too is I did all this for you. You wouldn't be where you are without me. I'm the reason why you all of that. Yeah, no, I'm we out of here, right? So I think the fact that someone won't grow with you for one, or they utilize what they did for you as a weapon, I think are perfectly legit reasons as to why somebody ends up sliding themselves up out of the situation. Well, other than that, it is definitely ego. Other than that, it's definitely being selfish. And you're on some kind of a trip that you got to come down from, bro.
Hmm. Okay, that's real. All right. Let me go ahead and say this, and then I'll pass it to Mister. Um. Let me get this out the way. Um. Why do why do some men and women are cursed? I'll say this. Go ahead. Put the timer on myself.
D Wade?
When it comes to, I think some men like when they reach to like maybe a level of success, and they finally reach to a point where I guess they somewhat kind of like find their own value, then the woman that they was with before, maybe they wasn't really attracted to him and they settled with him. And now since like you have a certain status and where other women's coming to you, you're just like, all right, well, I don't need this person anymore. Which is pretty messed up, some kind of way. But you know, I think women does that too. I think it's called like hypergamy nature and all that. But yeah, or you just as you get older, like your values just change and it just becomes different. So, Mister, you know.
I agree with everybody on the panel. Let me just keep it simple. Watch who you lay with and watch who you stay with. And Daryl's up in the comments preaching. I see you, Daryl. That's all I got to say.
Bring your ass.
Yeah, I wanna post a link in the description. I'm not description, but in the chat.
That's not like a T-shirt right there. Watch who you live with. Watch who you stay with.
No, word to mommy.
Yes, sir.
Facts, man. All right. Cool, man. Number 5. Some men may feel supported by the push. Is there a way for men to feel loved? Is there a way for men to feel loved, not feel judged or coddled, dependent? Where would men say is there's a balance?
That is on an individual level because that is not an easy question to ask under a minute. To be honest with you right now, because it varies. It does. You can see on 100 why he's thinking the thing what I'm thinking. Like, how you gonna answer this question right here? Some people, some things to some men may be like a push, and some men may feel like it's a love, and some men feel like you can hold them down and cut it. It varies. This is not an easy question. I'm sorry.
My answer on that, where is the balance? Right? Where is the balance? It's all a matter of communication. It's all a matter of understanding the communication between you and the other person. Because I mean, it based on the individual, it's very true. Like I'm fine with somebody putting a fire under me. You know what I'm saying? I'm fine with that. Some people do need a little more. Well, sweetheart, maybe if we just try this, it might work a little. Cut all that out. Take the sugar coating off and give me the medicine. I don't need my medicine in the candy. Just tell me what the problem is and let's figure it out from there. You know what I'm saying? But I think anybody that does need a sugar coating is kind of sliding back into that place of not being ambitious like we were talking about before. Because if you're looking for someone to try and give you the nice, sweet way to tell you that you ain't doing shit, the reality is you ain't doing shit.
Oh, man. Hey, well said.
Oh,
go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Nimhart.
I mean, basically, all I was saying is that it's kind of hard to add to that. It's really hard to add to that. I mean, you have basically said it, bro. I mean, all I can say is that sometimes your level of encouragement or push may change. The level of encouragement you need may change based on where you are in that process. It comes down to have you laid out your goals and how are you matching up to your planning? So the level of push that you may need, for example, at the first stages may be different than the level of push that you need at the third, or you're coming up to your goal now and you're basically getting there. The level of encouragement or push. This is not to say you're going to go back to cuddling, because that's definitely not what you need. Is about, the push, how much of a push you need at the stages along the way. So that's basically all I can add.
Nah, I mean, that's well said, you guys. Go ahead, Arshawn.
I was gonna say I definitely agree with everything everybody's saying. There's very few times because of the way we're socialized where we're going to want or need that coddling. For most of us, we shouldn't even lean on coddling. My two favorite people, one is my nephew because he's young. He's cut, like his tongue is just razor sharp, and a woman that was raised by her father. Those two, they never give me any coddling. They always tell me straight, no matter how deep the loss is that I took. They're like, man, you got 30 minutes of sympathy, but then you gotta, that's it. Because I'm not about to sit here with you pouting. Like they won't let it fly. So I got one person that's my peer, and then even my young nephew. He like, nah, can't, get up. So I love those type of people because they don't even let you dwell in that negative space.
Right. And no one should be like caught. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. You mentioned your nephew, and it's It's crazy because I have a nephew as well, and my man at the age of 3 was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and he's went through so much within his life. And this dude is so resilient. Like his when people hear him talk, he's so straightforward, and people just feel like he's being disrespectful. But he's not saying like he's one of those straight to the point, tell you exactly how he feel. We're gonna get straight to the sauce type of work. You feel me? And whenever I go see him, and if his grades aren't matching where it's supposed to be, I know that I get to have a straightforward conversation. Hey, bro, you fucking up. I get to have that conversation with him. Well, maybe nephew, if we spend some more time and we nah, straight to the point, straight to the fucking point.
I love it.
I like that. I feel like that's like the best shortcut. Like you could just get to with somebody when you talk to them.
I'll just say I'm entertained when I'm going to the boot camp. Tell it like it is. Give me raw and uncut. No sugarcoating. I don't do well with sugarcoating. With sugarcoating, I'll look at you like, do I look like a wolf to you? Let me have it. Don't play game with me. Be straight to the point, and I keep it going. I strive under pressure. I'm not gonna lie. No, I tell you, you make diamond under hard pressure. The more you put pressure you did, you make diamond out there. I'm the same way.
Sounds like sounds like we have probably all lost friendships from that. You know what I'm saying? Being straightforward with somebody because you weren't about to sugarcoat it. You was just telling them exactly what it was, and they ain't like it, so they dipped out. Okay, cool. So it's not just me.
Yeah, or we just choose like the friends that that's going to keep it 100. I mean, no pun
Family
intended.
too.
One that watch. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Sorry, Nimhard. What you was gonna say? I saw your hand up.
Yeah, yeah, man, definitely. I was just acknowledging the fact that we have all lost people by being straightforward.
Salute, Corn, salute.
When you're raised a particular way, there is very little you can do to change the background that you're coming from. If you're brought up in a no nonsense environment where here's what you need to do, you have 50 minutes to do it, and excuses are not allowed, you get out and you do what you have to do. You either didn't make it or you made it. It's basically that.
All right, thank you, Mister. You have a comment you want to say?
Yeah, I said it depends on your audience, basically. Whether they're able to receive it or not, able they want to receive it or not. So at times you can be straightforward with somebody. You can tell them how what you want to tell them, but will they receive it or not? And at the end of the day, you have to basically count the cost on that. You have to determine if it's worth it. But sometimes it's just not. Sometimes it's just like, all right, well, they're not gonna listen to what I'm gonna say anyway, so I'm not even gonna waste my time. So for me, I don't waste time. So if somebody's willing to accept what I have to say, or they're even willing to, make changes based on what I have to say, unless I really, really have to tell them something, then yeah, it's a difference. If I really have to tell you something, then I'm gonna let you know, but I'm also gonna be wise, in my approach, because I want to make sure that you receive everything that I'm telling you. If I really have to tell you. Now there's been times where I just didn't really care and I just said whatever I said and it was what it was. You know what I mean? Sometimes it was effective, sometimes it wasn't. But you just have to talk to your audience in a way that they need you to talk to them if you want them to receive what you have to say. You know what I mean? Like I said, if you don't care, you just want to spew, then whatever results you get is whatever results you get. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. I'm not saying if that person, and I'm not saying that person is right in their logic, basically. So I'm not saying that like when you talk to them, you tell them the right thing. That if they don't receive it, that that it's the correct thing for them to do. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is the fact that at times you just have to speak to them in a way where they can receive it. You know what I mean? And from there, move on. You did your part. You said what you had to say. You know what I mean? And now it's up to them. To do what they have to do. Or sometimes, like a wise man said, the best thing a wise man said was nothing at all. So sometimes I'm not gonna say nothing at all because it just don't make no sense for me to.
All right, thank you, Mister. So here comes the number 6 question. I don't think I'm gonna put a timer for this one. I'll probably use a timer for the number 7, but here we go. Number 7 is: are women more ambitious than men?
I'll jump in with this one real quick. I'm not going to say they're more ambitious. I just think they express their ambition differently. That's I just say the way their ambition shaped is shaped different. They're aimed towards different things than we are. So we may not even recognize each other's ambitions because we're totally two different directions.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say no because our responsibilities are different. The responsibilities of a man is different than the responsibilities of a woman. Because if I, as a man, don't hold up my responsibilities, we could end up homeless, right? If she doesn't maintain her responsibilities as a woman, a kid might end up at school late, or you might have to Uber Eats instead of having dinner made. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to minimize their responsibility. I just think our responsibilities are different. So because of that, we have to be more ambitious.
Mm. Okay. Okay. So basically,
I
you
will
are.
I will agree with that, but also our position are different as well as men. We're considered to be leaders, head of the household protectors. We deal with things different than what women deal with doing. Yeah, there are women who can be ambitious, but when it comes down to the responsibility and holding down the fort, it fall back on us, either we like it or not. Ain't no single mom when they say they're the mom and pop. Nine times out of ten, when they get to a situation, it clutch a hit, who the first thing they call and put blame on? The men. If only the man was here to do this, only the man was here to do that. So I can't say they're more ambitious. You are more ambitious than you would take the heat than when we take the heat. You're not gonna make excuse and point finger. You're like, no, it's my responsibility. I will handle it because that's what men do. We say it very clear. This is my responsibility. I'll take care of it. I take the heat. I'm not trying to back out like you a boy or a punk. Otherwise, it's not the case. Women, yeah, they could be ambitious, but when it comes to shit hit the fan, what the first thing they look for? A man to cover them. Am I wrong?
Mm.
You're 100% right, brother, and that's also along the lines of my reasoning. Simply because when a man lacks ambition, the repercussions of his lack of ambition can be much more than that of a woman. Simply because if a man doesn't do what he has to do and get himself together, someone mentioned earlier, he's going to end up homeless. Nobody's going out and nobody's going to hand out stuff to men, right? Once you slip off that once you fall off that saddle, that's it for you if you don't pick yourself up. Whereas men and women kind of have a fallback, like a backup plan, because if you were to do a what's the name of this thing? If you were to do a poll, most women would tell you that if given the option of working or being a stay-at-home wife, being kept, many of them, it is in their nature for them to want, would to rather to be at home and doing their wifely duties. It is a man's nature to go out there and fight the battles and make sure you're bringing that bread. So if you don't do your part, the household is going down, and you're bringing the woman with you in most cases. Whereas as you mentioned just now, she doesn't do her part. You don't eat tonight. The kids go to school late. Things that are which are not unimportant. These things are very important. But when you check up on the repercussions of those not being done, what happens if the male doesn't do his part is greater than what happens if the female doesn't do her part. So that's basically my reasoning on it.
Okay. Okay. Uh, my small two cents is, yeah. I mean, men and women both have, they have different responsibilities. Um, and even though like that question was put on there for the panel to answer, but in my honest opinion, I feel like it's not like the ambition. I can't really compare like men and women to like which one's more ambitious than the other one, because I feel like ambition really is more of like a character type of thing. So I don't really have much of a strong answer to that. It's just like a small opinion of what I think currently. My opinion could change, but just for now, that's what I look at as.
Okay, since you didn't want to answer that, let me ask you this:
Hmm.
could you be with a woman who is more ambitious than you?
Could I be with a woman who's more ambitious than me? The funny thing is, like, I could, but then it's like, but then I will feel insecure about myself because I will feel like, well, damn, um, this woman, damn, that's that, no, that shit. That's a good one because it's like a yes or no. All right, I'm gonna give you a yes or no, and I'm gonna explain why, right? So the drive would be like, damn, okay, this is like the one. She's like ambitious for me. But if I know I'm not doing something to like level up, then my heart's gonna be like, man, I can't be with her because now it's like I'm gonna hold her back from ambition, and then that put me like in a state where I'm insecure over myself because part of me as a man is like, man, I need to be on the same wavelength with her, but I'm not doing my part. So that's where no comes in. That was a good one though. I ain't gonna lie. My first initial was gonna
Yeah.
be like, hell yeah, but now I was like, oh wait, let me think about that.
There's no escaping that because you know what? On the outside, it make you
Mhm.
look real bad. The thing that you wear the pant and you wear the skirt, and people see it that way.
Right.
So you never want to be in that situation whereby she's more bitching than you, and everybody watching. They're like, side talk.
Now,
I think he with the skirt.
Mhm.
where you started out at, I can definitely agree with, right? Because sometimes
Yeah.
you could probably meet a woman who probably is more ambitious than you, right?
Yeah.
But the only two options you have is either step your game up or get out the way.
Yeah.
So I could, if I met her and she initially was a little more ambitious than me, then I could probably stick it out if I knew that I could get to a higher level. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I can understand what you were saying completely.
No, no, thank you for that. Like I
Yeah, man.
said, that was a good ass
Yeah,
question. I ain't gonna
yeah,
lie.
yeah. And I kind of equate what he just said to we have a phenomenon in my country where sometimes there are some young men who take it upon themselves to send a girl that they just met through college, whereas you barely have a primary school education and you're working a, a basic job and you're sending her to school. No, the challenge with that is, and this is what happens a lot of times, after a couple of years in college, what happens is the dynamic of the relationship changes because the discussion that she can be having on a daily basis, let's say at school, and then she comes back to you home, who cannot have a particular level of discussions or conversations with her, that is going to put a drain on the relationship. So I kind of equate that to that phenomenon that we face here in Jamaica. How about this? Assist her with school, but level up yourself as well. You will have to remember that you put yourself first at all times. If it doesn't work for you, if it doesn't if it doesn't make you happy, it doesn't make you money or stuff like that, then you have to reevaluate what you're doing.
Yeah. Real quick, I want to give a shout out to Krista Bloom and Ebony. Welcome to the panel. I'm sorry. Welcome to the chat. Salutes to Indigenous Black men. Welcome as well. Welcome to Hanifa. Hanifa, just to let you know that I got a chance like to kind of like clip like your wisdom. So I will like post it on my channel like tomorrow, which will be I think that will be like 9 o'clock in the morning Pacific time. And let me see. Peace to the ladies who have joined in the show. Okay. Sip in the Caribbean. And she says big love.
Hey,
Definitely salutes.
shout out to M3. Shout out to Knowledge and Relationships. All right. I just, anybody who wants to poke their head in and talk some trash or you want to get some game, I think this was a very great example of how a productive conversation goes from beginning to end. You know what I'm saying? I just want to say as a member of the panel, I've enjoyed this so far. You know what I'm saying? Without all the bickering and the hoopla.
And I hope you enjoyed the timer as well. But yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate
Shot clock.
I'm enjoying it.
it.
Just that these tough question coming out of left field, you were like, oh, you have to this one right here.
Like, oh, let's put the wrap it up time into it. But no, I appreciate you guys. Definitely, for sure. Go ahead and well, hold on. And real quick, right? For the people in the chat, definitely subscribe to 100 Watts' YouTube channel. Subscribe to Black David's YouTube channel. Mr. I keep pronouncing your name wrong, but Himhard, right? No, Nimhard. There we go.
Yeah,
Do you
got
have
it.
like a YouTube channel as well too, where you do like content?
Yes, I do content, but I'm really small right now, so I'm basically not promoting it much because I don't have a level of content on it as yet. So I'm just waiting. I'm more going for Facebook and Instagram because, for example, tomorrow I have a Facebook Live, and the discussion is gonna be 5 reasons why men need financial knowledge, So
Oh, please promote that, because I mean, it's
Yeah.
plenty of us that's looking for conversation. Man, promote it. Tell us where to find it. Where can we find it?
definitely, I'll just put it in the chat right here.
Okay, let's see. Shout outs to Victor Freeze. And then also shout outs to Arshawn as well too. Arshawn and his friend Rico, like they had like an awesome show like this past Wednesday, and they will be returning back to the Knowledge Relations platform Wednesday coming up. So definitely support him as well too. Let me see. You see, you posted in the private chat or in the public? Yeah, somebody throw a drink.
Yeah. All right.
Shout
Well, I
out to
put it
Victor
in.
Freeze.
I would say this. I'm trying to get my page together, but the only thing I've been doing so far for the past few months have been guest appearance or guest panel. So when I start putting my content, I'll let you guys know. I'll try to pick a plate of all the plates I've been on, so y'all can listen to what I've said so far. Sooner later.
Okay. And fellas, feel free to post like your YouTube channel link as well too. You can put it on a private and I'll highlight it. All right, let's get down to the last question. Last question is, who is to blame for non-ambitious men?
Can I go first?
Go ahead.
Make this make this spicy and contentious. It's the black woman's fault. It's the black shit. No, let me quit. I'm joking.
No, you
Sorry, y'all. It was a joke. All right, look,
I want to keep you alive, brother. So I'm just saying.
Now, who's to blame? Non-ambitious man. I'm always gonna put it back on that person. Like it's always, if it's me, it's me. It's my fault. Like it doesn't. Who's to blame really doesn't matter. Who's responsible? I'm responsible for my life, so it doesn't matter if like it's my background, my childhood as an adult. Like Watt said, what are you gonna do now? Like, and now what? Like, okay, it's somebody else's fault, but I need to take the responsibility, or I'm gonna stay there and stay in that mess. I mean, that's a foolish position to stay in.
Oh, okay. Anybody else?
Is there anybody on the panel that's going to disagree with what he said is a better question. Because, I mean, honestly, like, look, man, at the end of the day, whether you are a man, whether you're a woman, whether you're a they, a them, whatever you identify as, it's your fault if you're not getting to where you're trying to be at. Now, again, I understand there are systematic things and all of these other things that are in place. But if you understand the game is rigged, what are you doing? What are we doing? Don't hate the player, hate the game. You know that the rules are rigged. What are you doing to go around it? You know what I'm saying? I can never in my life blame another individual for the bad decisions I made in my life to get me exactly where I am right now.
Who created
Perfectly said so. I believe that wherever you are presently is based on the decision is based on the decisions that you have made up until that point. So I mean, where there can be some influences. Let's say, for example, a young son who was pampered growing up, that can in some ways cause him to be non-ambitious. He takes care of everything. He wasn't taught to have responsibilities. He wasn't given that home training that lets him identify that these are the things that a man does and these are what's expected of a man. This may hamper him in his this may prevent him from being the ambitious person that he should be, But the bottom line is, if you have no ambition, it's 99.99% your fault, because you have to come to an understanding, know what you want, and go for what you want. Or else you're going to be left behind. You're going to be left in the dust, man, and the world is going to go out and leave you. So that's basically it.
Okay. Now, lack of direction, the fathers, government, conspiracy, greed, good and evil, divine purpose, and selection.
All are a stack of excuses. Look, man, look. When you're in your teen years, and I'll even give benefit of the doubt to say early 20s, right? Up until about 25. You know what? Great. I'll give some grace. At till about 25, I'll give you 25. At the longest, right? My personal opinion, I'll give you till about 21. But once you get to about that age range right there, before that, you can probably blame your education or your parents or your environment and all of that, right? As a teenager, you can definitely do that. At that age, cool. But once you hit about 25, 26, 27, it's your fault. If you're 19 with a kid, it's your fault because nobody told you. You see what I'm saying? Like it's certain levels in your life to where no matter what's going on, no matter what you have going on, it's a certain point in your life where you get to where it's your fault.
She says, where ambition comes from. Are people born with it?
Everyone is. Kids are the most pure individual. They have the biggest dreams. If you walk up to a kid in the third grade and right now and you ask him, what do you want to be when you grow up? He'll probably say something crazy like an astronaut. He has ambition to do something outside of the natural thinking. It's the teachers, the parents, the neighbors, the kids that he grows. It's those people that take the ambition out of you. It's the people that tell you every day you ain't gonna be shit. You're gonna be just like your daddy. Your face ugly, just like ain't nobody gonna love you. It's the people around him that take that ambition from you. Everybody's born with it. What you do with it is your choice.
Damn, now that's well said. And good question, honey. He says genetics. Okay.
Hey, can I back that up real quick?
Go ahead, back it up.
When he started talking, it just made me think like he's right, because from birth, even as a baby, we're trying to constantly do things that we cannot do in the moment. We're trying to hold our head up when we can't. We're trying to walk when we can't. We're trying to find food when we don't know how to source it or where it is. Like from infancy, we're trying to do things that we have no idea how to do. So there must be some mechanism to a forward drive that's put in us from birth.
I'm glad that I'm glad she brought up that question. I'm glad you guys answered before I did, because at first I was like, well, I don't know. I was thinking about like, well, maybe like ambition starts like with like, people raising, like, motivating you as you grow up. But then it does make sense is that because children are pure and natural at heart. But then over time, that imagination, that pure gets stripped from the children because, it just life is an asshole. The world is an asshole. Sometimes your own parents are assholes. You know what I mean? In general, that is.
I have a question here that I want to ask the panel.
Yeah.
My father has a phrase that he uses a lot, and I want to get you guys' opinion on it. He says that life is fair, people aren't.
Life is fair, but people are not.
What are you guys' thoughts on that sentiment?
To father and a grandfather, when they mention life is fair, people aren't. What he's referring to, the life we live right now, it's fair. But the people that we live around or we live with or we associate with can either make your life a living hell or can make your life at peace. Let's be real. We are human beings. We create our own situation. Let's make that very crystal clear. People claim life is hard. No, life is not hard. It's what we do can determine if life will be hard.
Bookmark that. I want to come back to that.
No problem. I'm not going to say too much about it. You can add to it because this is exactly what it is.
No, I'm sorry. I was talking about the comment that he had, the Hanifa's comment. I was listening to you
Oh,
speak.
you
I'm
said
sorry.
highlight that this one?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I wanted you to bookmark that. I wanted to come back to that.
Oh, no
Okay,
problem. I got
okay.
you.
What I'm trying to say is this: the world we live in today, we only can what we do, what we contribute, what we put into it, can determine how our life going to end. That's all I can say. Because what tomorrow hold for us, we don't know yet.
All right, this one is like, to me, I would just say like both are not fair. To be honest with you, I feel like both life and what people are not fair. I mean, I can't. I mean, I guess I get what you guys are saying because we could make it hard on ourselves, but even without the people, I feel like there are just people that are just destined to be like in impoverished areas, or there's people who are destined to be successful, or be like in the, I don't know. I just feel like life determines like it, I feel like you're determined. Your life is determined based off of, I don't know, life's chances. I guess I don't know.
So, all right. So
It's like one of those
here's
things I
how.
can't even answer.
Okay. So here's how I look at it. I believe that yes, life is fair because I believe everybody is born with a more or less fair opportunity to survive and be successful. Because even now, I mean, everyone here, we maybe our financial standpoint, our financial standing, our technology, we're probably 1% of everybody that has ever lived on Earth, or maybe 0.1% of everyone that has ever lived on Earth. And secondly, it's about, I believe we have to bring probability into it as well. Because if you're born in certain countries, for example, the probability that you will reach a particular space is low, but the possibility still exists. So, on that account, I believe that life is fair. It's what you do with the opportunity that you get, and also the people that are around you, and the influence, and how you react to the influence that comes into your life. So, I mean, that's just basically it for me.
Okay.
When I first, because my father's been saying that since I was a kid, and especially as a kid, I didn't understand it. Like it just didn't make any sense to me, right? But the reason it makes sense to me now is because when you at the end of it, once you get to be an adult and you understand that again, especially as black men, the only thing that matters is results. It doesn't matter what you went through. It doesn't matter what you experienced. It doesn't matter what you've done in your life. The only thing that matters is results. What can you show on paper that you've done in your life? What can you show on paper that you've done to improve the people around you? What can you show on paper that matters? Right? There. Look, man. Life has certain realities. There are certain realities that exist in life, like hierarchy. Hierarchy exists in life for certain reasons, because there is no way in the world. I'm sorry that anybody that disagrees with me, please let me know. But there is no way in the world that you can respect someone who did not graduate high school, didn't go to college, didn't educate themselves. You can't respect that person the same way as someone who went to school for 10 years, got a doctor's degree, spent the time to do the papers. The, like the papers in a master's degree is crazy. You see what I'm saying? The time it takes to get through a master's degree is bananas. People decide what they want to do with their life. There are plenty of people that will decide that they don't want to leave the block that they were born on. That's not my fault, bro. So the shortcomings that you have in your life is your fault. Life is fair because we all had opportunities to be able to do something different, but you chose your path. That's my understanding of that statement that he made. And sometimes you're going to put yourself in a position to come across people who um who want to take advantage of you. You're going to come across people who don't respect you for who you are because of your skin color or your orientation or whatever. That's people being unfair. That's not life. Life didn't say treat this person different because they enjoy the company of the same sex. That life didn't say do that. People did. That's a person thing. That's a man-made. That's a man-made thought process. You see what I'm saying? So I do think that life is very fair. That's why you have so many of these stories of people that make it from out the bottom when they were sleeping in with holes in the floor and sleeping on the floor and roaches crawling on the apartment and they still make it out. That's because they put in the work.
Hanifa, why you disagree?
I don't like when Hanifa disagree with me.
Mind if I just
No,
real quick?
The man was
he
flowing.
he nailed it. He nailed it. I'm sorry, you just nailed it because it is what it is. Some people pad on motivation to shoot them or catapult them where they need to be.
But the comment that Hanifa made earlier, right? About
Oh, the one.
being yeah.
This one.
So it's true. Okay, so if that's true, we have to consider why they lost it. So the answer would be themselves and their environment. I like that statement for this fact only. It goes back to what I said earlier. It's a certain point in your life where you get back to when you understand everything you have is either by your shortcomings or your fault. There's a certain point when you get into in your life where it doesn't matter what your mama told you when you were 7. It's a certain point when you get to where it doesn't matter what your teacher told you when you was in the 8th grade. It doesn't matter. When you have kids, your personal feelings go out the window, Lo. And I'm gonna keep it a whole being with you. Your personal feelings don't matter. I got my daughter over here right now. I swear to God, I want to go to sleep right now. I want to go to sleep right now, but I can't because I know if I do, she's gonna end up she's gonna end up in the cabinet pulling out chemicals. She's gonna end up in the kitchen trying to pull pots and pans. It's not about what I feel or what I want to do. So at the end of the day, it's not about what you feel or what somebody told you or none of that. At a certain point, you have to reflect and say, damn, I can do better. Especially, man, look, man, I don't know anybody in the struggle that hasn't had a moment where they sit on the floor in the living room or sit on the floor in the shower or sit in a room in the corner by themselves and think like, man, if I would have did this rather than that, I'd be better off. If I would have did this rather than that, I'd be better off. Everybody has those moments. So when you have those moments and you understand that you can make smarter decisions and you decide not to make smarter decisions, it's your fault you're at where you're at. A 50-year-old man that works at McDonald's, I don't feel sorry for you because you made the choice. That is your fault. At some point, it's your fault.
Now, Miss Hanifa, she will be on her way to kind of explain why she disagrees. So
Shout out to Anifa. Shout out to Quantum Love, Metaphysician. Shout out to Jay, got a story to tell. Shout out to Indigenous Black Man, we see you. Shout out to K Marion as well.
Shout out to you, brother. Shout out to you. I hope you're feeling well today. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
I hope you in good spirits and you in good health today, my brother. Shout out to you.
Man, thank you. I appreciate that, bro.
Hanifa, I don't like to disagree with you. Don't chop my head off. Oh, is she talking? We can't hear you.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, there you go.
Sorry, I was listening to you guys on my phone. Peace to the panel. Peace to everyone on the panel.
Peace, sister, peace.
I'm watching you. I'm looking at you now.
I agree with 100 watts. I just don't agree with him 100%. And what I disagreed on is that everyone choose that path. And I'm gonna tell you why the angle I'm coming from. I'm coming from a perspective of working in child welfare for over 12 years, right? So when you said that, the first thing came to my mind was, okay, you're right, after a certain age, perhaps, but we cannot downplay what happens before to someone and 25, that how much that impacts them even in their 30s and 40s. For example, therapy is more of a new thing to Black people. We are just coming around to embracing that just now. So you have people who are in their 40s who have never had the tools, right, or their assistant to process what had happened to them even when they were teenagers. I'm talking men and women, okay? And so has it affect? It doesn't mean that people who suffer from abuse and neglect don't succeed. It just means that a lot of people who are struggling, let's say with substance abuse, right? These things set people back. So in a sense, yes, I agree with you. And anyone, I'm sure on this panel, anyone who's dealt with addiction, it's easy to say just stop, but that's just not the way addiction works, right? We do understand that. But while that person is using to suppress or to deal with whatever they've been through before they hit those years that you talked about, 100 watts of the responsibilities falling solely on them, if they have, before they hit that age, the things that have happened, who have supported them, who have helped them. We do not choose our name, we do not choose our parents, we do not choose the schools our parents decide to send us to, we do not choose the neighborhoods they've decided or had to live in. Not just decided, but some people just have to until they can do a little better. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, a mother who can only afford rent in the hood until she's finished her 4 years of nursing, here's the reality. There's still 4 years of that hood culture that's impacting her children. 4 or 5 years, maybe 6 years. That's a lot of years, right? That she can't get back. That environment is still having effect on those children, right? Now those children have become adult. Let's say the elephant in the room that we never talk about in our community, molestation. Huge, huge. And we do not we understand, we look at each other and we talk about arrested development, we talk about people being emotionally constipated, we talk about people not be like stagnant and in a rut. But the things that we don't consider is that a lot of our people are trapped in their bodies. They're still stuck when they were 9 and 10 and 11 years old and 12 years old in these 40-something-year-old bodies. So yes, on one end, 100 watts, I completely agree with you. At some point, you're going to have to take responsibility. No doubt about that. But on the other end, that's why I said is the environment and the community. We have to consider, we cannot let our community off the hook, because when you do damage to a child, that child becomes an adult. And if they don't get the help that they need, they in turn are going to tear that community up as well. Whether it means them victimizing someone else's child or turn into drugs or turn into abuse. I'm not saying that all abuse victims do this, but a lot of them do. You get what I'm saying? You have people, and I'm going to stop here. I'm going to end here. I brought this up on another platform. People talk about Pookie and Ray Ray's a lot. And a certain picture, a certain person comes to mind when they say Pookie and Ray Ray. But I know a lot of Pookie and Ray Rays who wear suits. I know a lot of Pookie and Ray Rays who have PhDs. What do I mean by that? I mean that they are educated and they're given to their community, but they're also destroying families and leaving a trail of hurt people in their path. But they are educated and they are hailed and people hold them in high regards, but they are damaged. Why? Because they were never able to deal with those issues, even with all the education that they have. Let's talk about our women. We talk about this a lot. How many of our women have psychology degrees and still can't help themselves?
Now, the point that you're making right now, I think it kind of confirms what I'm saying, right? There, for someone to be damaged and have a PhD, that means at some point in time you have crossed paths with the things that damage you, and you are choosing not to deal with them. You are choosing to allow those things to damage other people. That is a choice that you're making. There is no way in the world. There is no way in the. I personally don't. And this is my personal opinion. I personally do not believe. There is no way for me to believe that someone is cognitive enough to be able to make it through education long enough to get a PhD and not understand their own personal shortcomings, because it requires so much. It requires so much of you to get to that part. How can you ignore the things that have like I don't.
Then
I just don't see
100
those
watts.
things
Here's what I
existing.
say to you. Then you are underestimating our ability to compartmentalize, sir. You underestimate our ability to compartmentalize. That means that something can happen to you. You know how many people are suppressing and pushing those things down? and pushing them. I like to say taking them up in the attic so that they could continue doing whatever they're doing in other parts of the house. That is
So if
very possible.
Sorry,
and
real quick, you two. Before you guys continue, I gotta give a salute to Candid Ann. Sorry, Candid Ann. How you doing, my sister?
I'm
Salute,
doing
sis.
well, thank you. Can you guys hear me well?
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you.
Yes, we
Oh,
can.
okay. Yes. I just, first off, I want to say this has been a wonderful, wonderful discussion and very well ran. So salute to the panel and the person that's
shout out
running
to
this panel. This
knowledge and relationships. I'm sorry.
yes, this has been
Yeah.
really wonderful
Thank
because
you.
I've truly enjoyed this. I'm so honored by how honest you men have been. And so I just wanted to put that out there. I just want to quickly respond to 100 Watts and whom I absolutely love. I love his opinions, and I think that there is value in the fact that he is coming from a perspective in which he takes personal responsibility for his life. However, I want to say if we could just table that thought for a moment and 100 Watts, think about our Black community and what we have gone through in terms of slavery here in this country. Oftentimes, people look at us and say, Asians have gotten it together. Why can't the Black community get it together? Other races have come to this country. Jamaicans come to this country. They get it together. Why can't you Black men get it together? Right? However, and what is our response? Not many other people have the history that we have had in terms of slavery in this country. So we can't negate our historical background and why that holds a bit of weight. I'm not saying to you that that depletes us of complete responsibility. I'm saying that it plays a bit of a factor when you look at our Black American history, why it plays a factor in why we are where we are. So in that same sense, if we keep that thought in mind, we are all walking around with our personal history. We're all, just like the lady said, I can't pronounce your name very well, the beautiful lady, I'm seeing her icon. That we
Adifa?
all have our personal histories. We're walking around here, some of us molested, raped. Some of us, we look great. I'm a nurse, and I know if you know anything about internal bleeding, some of us are emotionally, internally bleeding. You can't see it, but it's happening on the inside. And so we have to keep those things in mind in terms of history. And I'm not saying, like, I agree with you. I think we should take personal responsibility as it pertains to our lives. I'm not really pushing back. I'm just pushing forward this discussion in terms of saying, like, let's remember that we also have personal histories that sometimes some of us are not as strong as you. Some of us are scared, some of us are meek, some of us don't have the language that you have. And so I just want us to keep that in mind. I love this channel, and wow, this has been wonderful. And I thank you guys for having me. I won't take up too much time. I won't take up too much time here, but I just wanted to add a little bit of conversation to this. Thank you for having me.
Can I
Did y'all
end
not hear
before
that?
you go? Before you go, can I end?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let me respond to that. As a immigrant who would part of that story, I would have to apologize for that because you're right what you said. You say when Jamaican come in here, they know how to handle it. When African, I'm a Nigerian, so my parents migrated here, so I could fully understand what that statement done to a lot of African American people. I comprehend that, but
Yes.
also at the same token, even though African American people in this country were put to slavery, a lot of African countries were put to colonization, whereby some people accepted it, while the most did not. Some African countries had to fight to take their land back from the white people. South Africa, for example, they did it publicly. They already know every land that the white people have taken from their own generation of their own people. They forced them out and said that no, if you want it now, you have to buy it. So I get what you're coming from. So I had to apologize on behalf of all the Africans who came here, even though they had their own struggle, which is not similar to being a slave, but you get kind of like got removed from your own life. I fully understand and comprehend that. So it's part of a bigger picture. So I'd have to say that right now. Thank you.
Can I
I
say
w-
something to that,
Go ahead.
MP, real quick? I just
Sure.
wanted to. I was just introducing a different perspective to what 100 Watts was saying, because I 100%. At some point, you're gonna have to take some responsibility, and then especially now with the resources that are out there and the information that I'm gonna say most of us have access to. We're talking about people of a certain caliber, but I also want to keep in mind that because I'm big on therapy, but I had to even check my privilege about that. because not because I can afford it means that somebody else can. And I'm talking about for a consistent amount of time. You have people who are in therapy for years because they can afford to do so, right? There are some people who they might be able to get some assistance, but that's for like a limited time. So even that's a conversation as well. But I just wanted to add a different perspective to that. And the last thing I wanted to say with the immigrant thing, most of you guys know I don't. Most people will see me as an immigrant, but there's like a duality with me. I say this all the time. I was born an American citizen. I am from the U.S. Virgin Islands. It is a territory of the United States. So I do consider myself a Caribbean woman. One of the things that those of us who come to the States need to consider, here's the reality. I know a whole ton of Caribbean people and a whole ton of continental Africans who have been damaged in their own countries. But here's the difference. They get to come here and heal away from that space. African Americans do not have that privilege. How about that? They are actually required to heal in the same environment that have hurt them and continue to hurt them. There's a big difference between the two. And I say this all the time. You know, there are immigrants who come here and their countries are going through some stuff politically. People are being hurt and they're able to remove themselves. Not everyone, but the ones who are able to. The reality is that you are able to remove yourself from that environment so that you can go and work on these things. So guess what? When you come here, your main focus is what? Getting that bag. Getting that bag. Because you ain't trying to go back to that situation. African Americans, most of them don't have that privilege. They are asked to get over it in the same environment that has harmed them for hundreds and hundreds of years and still continue to do so in some of the most subtle but diabolical ways that you can think of.
Before I say anything, I want to ask M3. Were y'all planning on having this be a short show today?
Sorry.
No. You guys
Okay,
are
all right.
good.
I just want to make sure, you know what I'm saying, because some people do plan on coming up here and hopping on for a little bit and then getting right off, right? So because as you see, our conversation has developed into a whole nother, it's developed into a great conversation.
As well it should. As well it should. Let me
Hanifa, you
build
did
on that real
you did
quick.
it beautifully.
Wait,
Hanifa.
hold on, guys, real quick. Yeah, because we already got all like basically like the basic questions out the way. So this is just free flowing for the time being before the ladies' night live stream that will be coming like 3 hours from now. Go ahead, Mr.
Yeah, let me build on that real quick, Honey. Watch real quick. I think it's completely you're completely able to function in one area. You know what I mean, without being able to function in other areas. You see it all the time. So you may be able to, put things together in one area. You may be a genius in an area. Like nobody can stop you. But when it comes to your personal life, it could be in shambles. You know what I'm saying? And I've seen it as well. So someone could be able to get a career. You know what I mean? They can be able to get a formal education. They can be able to do all that. But he still will have a lot of trauma. And unless that trauma is really dealt with, they're going to continue to basically have a really messed up personal life. I think that we have to consider, like Sister Anissa was saying, we have to consider slavery. We have to consider, the abuses that we've been through. We have to consider all that. All these things are factors. And the thing with trauma is trauma does not have a deadline. You cannot say, okay, well, this day tomorrow, all of my trauma will be gone. You know what I mean? I mean, that would be nice, but that's not reality. You know what I'm saying? So we have to deal with things in real time and in reality. The thing is that, with anything, even with education, with anything, if you do not take the proper steps to handle something, or you're not given the proper steps to handle something, then you will fail. You know what I mean? You will fail miserably. And I think when it comes to personal trauma, it's not like trying to get a career or to trying to obtain a home or trying to obtain different things as far as money and resources. A lot different because you're dealing with emotions, right? So you're dealing with emotions. Sometimes the emotions you're able to control them, right? But sometimes the emotions, you're not able to control anything. You're just spiraling. You know what I mean? And so that's why it's really, really good to check in with people, check in with your friends, your family, and those you really care about. Just a simple how you doing. You know what I mean? It will definitely just help somebody. And Arshawn Dave, that when you doing that hand clap, Arshawn Dave, we're gonna have to take that as a meme, brother. You know what I mean? That hand clap. We're gonna use it as a meme. I love that. That's bomb. I like that. We're gonna use it as a meme, definitely. Go ahead and watch.
I have a question for 100
okay.
watts. 100 watts.
Yes, ma'am.
If you don't mind me asking, what's your age group? Is it in the 20s?
I'll be 30 in April.
Okay, good. Because and this is why we need these more. And I appreciate your what you're saying, because this is why I say when we have these conversations, we need them to be multi-generational, because we need the 20-something-year-olds to tell the 50-something-year-olds that listen, the world has changed. And the way I see it, I think we can get around this. I think this is what we need to be doing, right? But then the older people also, they hold not just the wisdom, but they hold the caution as well. So I think because when you're in your youth, right, you're anxious, you're like, yes, and sometimes you tend to look over certain things, and I think that's where the wisdom of the elders and so forth comes in. So that's why I'm big on these conversations being multi-generational and not just like a certain generation of people having it. So I just want you to know I asked you that because I am realizing we need to get more younger people in these conversations because they do not see the world the way that we do.
I'm actually trying to get some.
Hold on,
I'm
y'all.
trying to
Hold
get
on
some
a second.
early 20s and some
Hold on a second,
teenagers
y'all.
up here as well.
Hold on 1 second. We got a salute to Sir Hill Speaks. Sir Hill Speaks, welcome to the panel, sir.
What's up, my brother?
What's going on? 100 watts, continue to build, bro. Then we gonna go to Sir Hill.
I'll be right back, you guys.
All right. I'm definitely trying to get some early 20s and some teenagers up here as well, because I do think that there is a disconnect because at the end of the day, honestly, all of these conversations that we're having up here is only going to affect us but so much, right? There's a lot of people here who are in their 40s, their 50s, their 30s, right? And it's only but so much growth that you're going to have in your life, if we're going to be honest, right? Because, some people are set in their ways. The conversation that we're having, and this is my opinion, anybody please push back if you would like, but the conversation that we're having is more or less about the people that are behind us. So these conversations that we're having is important for me, for my children, for my nieces and nephews, because they're still trying to develop so much that I'm trying to push them in front of the curve as much as possible, because we all understand anybody that comes from where we come from and has the same skin complexion or background or anything similar to where we here on this panel have, we're behind the curve. So those of us who are here on this panel, we're probably close to setting our ways. So that's why I want to involve some of the younger people.
I'll say this quick. Sorry to cut you. I'll say this quick. What you say with 100 watt is totally true, because I met people just like you, like Jetty Mike 7, like Cheeky Banter, like Jonathan Barron. They're the three names I can mention right now. They are young men who are thinking the same way you are thinking right now, and they are in their 20s. And when I hear that, if I hear that type of talk you have, it makes me want to be a part of the space as well, because we need young guys like you who see things different than what we are seeing right now, because your generation behind you have to follow your footsteps. That is real talk, and I appreciate that.
I wanted to reach back to some.
Hold on, 100 watch, real quick, because I want to get Sir Hill in there real quick, and then I'm gonna have you come back.
Okay.
Go ahead, Sir Hill. What's going on, brother? Deal with us.
Oh, hey, man, how are you doing? So I just wanted to say a couple things real quick. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already liked the video, make sure you hit that like button. If you have not subscribed, make sure we hit that subscribe button for this great content. Really glad to be here, man. So I just wanted to say something really quickly. And it's a question that I want to pose, and then I want to make a statement. The first one is, when it comes to relationships in the Black community, why do we always borrow the experiences from slavery? Now, here's my question. The reason I'm asking this is because we always reach back to experiences that we personally didn't have to explain the behaviors we have today. And here's my question. It's only when it comes to serious romantic marital relationships that we use this. We have no issues with going to get a job. We have no issues with going to get a degree. We have no issues with going to church. We have no issues with going into the political system. It's only when we have these relationships that we reach back 400, 500 years to explain the dysfunction we have today. And so while it is true we went through these things, my question to all of us is, why don't we decide to be different? Why don't we decide to do what's right? Why don't we decide to do what's hard? And this is in respect to what has happened. Because what I hate to keep on hearing is, because we have issues, we treat the people who are closest to us with the least level of love and empathy and compassion, but we know how to flip the switch and do great at somebody's job or do great at somebody's school. So my question to all of us is, why is it when it comes to our most serious relationships, we reach back and we borrow trauma, when we don't do the same thing when it comes to how we are employed, how we integrate in our communities, so on and so forth. That's the question that I want to pose to everybody.
I think because the truth is, when you look at relationships during slavery, there was so much put on our shoulders, and relationships were operating in a well fashion. Relationships were operating in it at the least. I'll say relationships lasted while we were in slavery. And now that we have all these freedoms and we have all of these options, now it seems because we have all these options, people are just doing whatever they want. So I think the objective is just getting the mindset to come back to going to what works. And as unfortunate as it is, the only reference that we have to functional relationships is when we were in slavery, because once we became free, that's, as many people say, once we became free and welfare and food stamps and the crack epidemic and all of these other kinds of things, it started splitting our families apart. But the only representation we have of functional relationships, especially many of us that grew up in single parent households, the only representation we have of a functional relationship is during slavery.
So here's my appeal to everybody who's on here. Here's my appeal to everybody who's on here, everybody who's listening. Why don't we start learning from our past, but let's stop using the negative stuff to justify where we are. Because let me tell you something. I don't know Arshawn, if I'm saying that name correctly, Arshawn. I don't know you personally, but let me tell you what I can't do. I can't go to Arshawn, go cuss this brother out, push him around and say, hey, bro, listen, I'm sorry. It was slavery. You see what I'm saying? I can't go to Mr. Nembard and say, hey, man, I'm going to steal your money and I'm going to vandalize your home. Hey, bro, take charge it it was slavery. Hey, 100 watts, man, listen, all expletives, I'm calling out your name, I'm belittling you. Hey, man, don't hold me accountable. It's slavery. I think we got to get to the place where we own our behaviors. And again, this is taking into account the things that we've been through. But none of us have gotten whipped by a lash. None of us have done that. Like, none of us have gotten arrested simply. Well, maybe we have. I can't say that. But you understand, you get the point that I'm making? Like, a lot of the stuff that we bring up, we did not personally go through. And so we keep bringing this in because it makes for an eloquent argument. But it all boils down to, what do you decide to be today? How do you decide to love today? How do you decide to heal today? Because I think we're so informed that we're having circular arguments, and the goal of history is not for us to keep on going back to repeat it. It is to learn from it and move forward. And so my appeal to everybody who's listening to this is, let's be intelligent about what we've suffered with, what our ancestors have gone through. But it's a damn shame for them to have gone through that and us not learn from that to do better going forward. You hear what I'm saying? So let's continue to talk about our history, but let's stop borrowing trauma as a means to justify behavior that we have toward our own community, when somehow we can flip the switch and we know how to be right and speak well and be respectable when we're going into businesses and corporations and into other communities. That's what I'm saying. We've got to take
I would say this. Hold on one second. Sister Anif, I'm gonna let you go next. I would say this. I think, but that's, like I said, that's why I was speaking to it, whether somebody cognitive or not in their in what they do. So if somebody's cognitive, yes, you can hold them to that standard. If they're not cognitive and they need help, then you have to help them as a community. I think we have to get, to the point where, yes, we are coming up with solutions. I think that's clear. We have to have solutions. But some solutions, yes, they can be done, by that person individually. But some things have to be done, some people have to be helped to do those things. So I think the number one thing is that we are all trying to be on board to be solution oriented. Those of us who are able to do that and who are cognitive enough to do that. And so we also have to, speak to the person's experience and definitely connect with them where they're at. Because some people do suffer PTSD from slavery, or, I seen one lady, she was an older elderly lady, and she was involved in the Tulsa, Oklahoma City bombing, and she was in Congress, and she was speaking to that and how, her people deserve reparations, especially, for what they've been through. So I think that, when we have things of that nature and we've gone through things of that nature, it definitely affects, us as a people. You know what I'm saying? with that being said, like I said, we have to work on it either individually with some people and then also in the community with others as well. Sister Anifa, go ahead and build.
Yeah, peace to Sir Hale Speaks. If I could just respond to what he's saying, that's why when I came up and I was speaking to what 100 watts, I didn't mention slavery. I don't need to refer back to slavery to understand where our people are at. I can go as far back as 2 weeks ago, as far back as 6 months ago. I understand that the nuclear family, for example, is the major key, right? We're in trouble, we're in shambles, right? So what I was speaking to when I came up is that I'm sorry, my son is making music. What I was speaking to is that the conversation around it's your choice. If you are in a certain condition, that is totally your choice. And I wanted to come and give a different perspective, because the people who we don't consider that have the issues that I'm talking about, we discard of them because we are embarrassed by them. But instead of considering what has brought on the condition that they're in currently, nothing to do with slavery, and maybe not, maybe there is some things connected to slavery, but just we're not considering their condition. And if we don't even want to entertain them, then we can't address those issues. And that's why I brought up molestation, because that's something we don't want to talk about. You know how many of our men are violated very young? What's his name just came out and says his mom taught him how to tongue kiss. Okay,
he said that was a joke, though. He said that was a joke.
Oh,
he did.
He came out later and said
Jim Jones. Jim Jones. My wife showed me the video.
Would you joke about that about your mother?
I would never in my life ever.
Even if it is, there's some truth in every joke.
Yeah, so the reason why I brought that up anyways, not to speak on him. Someone was asking me, a black man was like, why would he sit there? And I say, you'll be very surprised, but by what people slip and say to relieve themselves. You'll be very surprised, because sometimes people carry things for a long time and it's happening subconsciously and it just happens. So that was my response. I'm not speaking on him. I am just saying that I know a black man that was 40 something years old, reading at a first grade level. This is when I was volunteering for the Literacy Council. I was his tutor. I was working with him. Here's the thing. I could look at him and say, that's his choice. He chose not to learn how to read. But over time, as I'm working with him, you know what I realized? I learned his stories, right? He was HIV positive, identified gay man, and also the babysitter his mom used to send him to when he was like 6 and 7 years old molested him from 6 all the way to the age of 12. He never recovered from it. So you know what happened with school? Surviving became his priority, not education. So then here we are, he's in his 40s and I'm teaching him how to read, and he's reading at a first, second grade level. I'm not bringing, that has nothing to, I would never bring slavery up. I am saying that we have to consider the people who are really struggling and why. If we don't deal with the why, then we can't address it. Acting like something doesn't exist doesn't make it disappear. We have an issue with how we parent our children in our community. We have an issue with working together and not giving up on each other so easily. Let's get to the root of why outside of slavery and address it. And then so that we can move forward. Instead of taking slavery and tearing ourselves down, let's take from slavery, because there's a lot of resilience and stories of victories that came out of that time. Let's take those, build on them, but let's not ignore the current issues in our community because they exist. That's all I got to say to that.
Can I ask you a question real quick? Just a quick question. The gentleman that you were working with, in terms of working with him to get him to read, did it take a little bit of you overcoming pushback to get him to do that, or was he just willing to do that from the beginning when you suggested helping him learn how to read?
Well, the organization that I volunteered with, the Literacy Council, you sign up and then people actually sign up with them, and then they give you a list and you could choose a name. and then you have like a meeting with the person, and they could decide if they want to work with you or not. And he and I worked together. It was a struggle though, because this is still a black man. This is a grown man. I'll give you an example. He is a functioning illiterate, right? You will never know he's illiterate. Can get around, can probably sit with a book on his lap as if he can read. I went to a church where most of the deacons were illiterate, so I know what that looks like, right? In upstate New York. So he and I bumped heads because he wanted to go and take the GED test. I knew he wouldn't pass it because he was reading at a first, second grade level. But you know what had to happen so that me and he don't kill each other pretty much? I had to let him do it. Do you know what happened? He went to the center. They told him to let him take the test, and they told him absolutely not. He came back to me. He told me he was a little embarrassed. And I didn't say, I told you so. I say, okay, let's keep working and see where we can get, how we can get you to where you need to be so that you can take the test, because it was important to him. And it was also a major barrier in his life. He couldn't get the employment we're talking about if he can't read properly. But there are factors that happened to him when he was young that's affecting him in his 40s, and he was never able to get help. And that was all I was trying to add to the conversation. And that's just one example. I hope I answered your question 100.
No, you did. I got exactly what I needed from that. I mean, it's go ahead, Black man. I'm sorry.
Hold on, Black David. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Sister Candid Ann, we see you have come back.
Yeah, I jogged back. I'm trying to fold these clothes, and you guys, this conversation is so hot. I just I had to come back in. Sir Hal, I wanted to address, because I'm the one that mentioned slavery, and I just wanted to kind of address that. I only used that as a reference point to talk about history. It really wasn't about slavery necessarily. And for instance, I've seen your videos, and I think I know a little bit about you, and you yourself, you have a history that has made you make in your walk, in your journey, adverse. You made mistakes, right, because of your history. And so the whole mention about the slavery was just as a reference point to say that because of your history, I thought that on the panel people would be able to kind of understand what I meant in terms of using that as a reference. And so when you so that's all that was about. I could have used something else, but that seems to have just been the thing that came to mind. Secondly, you talked about how when we go to work, can you please repeat that? You said something about when you go to work, you're able to do certain things, and we don't. Can you just repeat that, because I think I have a response to that.
Sure. But so before you say that, my response to this wasn't necessarily because of your comment, but if you listen to these relationship topics on any platform, this is where we get stuck at. But to answer your question, yes, I want to say that. So when it comes to our Black relationships, we borrow trauma from our history. But when we go to work and integrate into businesses, our intentions are different. And so we find a way to integrate and overcome that stuff. That's the whole point that I was making.
Okay, so what I would say to that is, at your job, you know your role, don't you? Right? You know that you're here to flip these fries. I know I'm a nurse. I'm not a doctor. I know my role. So in the dynamics at your job, your responsibilities are laid out for you, sometimes by bullet point, as to what you do and what you can't do. I know what medications I can push. I know what things I can't do. I can't prescribe medications. I only push medications in terms of into your veins, not pushing it onto someone emotionally, right? So I know my role, but when it comes to love and relationships, and just so the panel knows, I've been with my husband. I'm married. I've been with my husband, married for 16 years, together for 24 years. And so I'm going to speak a little bit on this. When it comes to love and relationships, there's so many more nuances as it pertains to love and relationships. It's not bullet pointed like at my jobs. Sometimes I don't know what my responsibility is when it comes to hard life questions, when something happens. And also, there's no intimacy at your job. You do your role, you clock out at 5 o'clock. Peace, y'all. I don't care about what happens to this job or what goes on. But when I lie down on my back and I'm expecting my husband to make love to me, I have expectations, right? But there's a lot of nuances. When my husband comes home, does he want to be nagged or does he want peace? When I come to my job, I can go to HR and nag them. That's their damn job. So there's a lot of nuances as it pertains to love, marriage, and relationships that doesn't exist at your job. And so that's why sometimes I think that I understand your analogy a little bit, but I would push back and maybe just say that when it comes to love and relationships, it is just heavy. It's a lot. There's a lot going on. I don't have children with my boss. You know, he can't decide whether public school or Catholic school is the best. There's a lot of things that go on there. When I'm at my job, I'm not the one to decide how the job is going to be ran. I'm there to do my job and clock out. So there's a lot of nuances as it pertains to love and relationships that just doesn't exist at the job. So yeah, when I get in my job, I know my role. But sometimes some of us, like I said, it's bullet pointed. You get your responsibilities, but when it comes to being a wife, some of us don't know how to do that. We have to learn. Some of us don't know how to be husbands. We have to learn. And sometimes we're getting incorrect information from other people that we have to filter through. So it's difficult. It's really difficult. So that's all I just wanted to I just wanted to address a little bit of that. And I wish I could be on the conversation a little bit more, but I gotta fold these clothes.
Hold on, so let me
we about to have you distracted.
Yeah,
so Kenny,
this is a great
if
conversation.
I can respond to what you said. So
Yes,
if you guys don't know me as well, I grew up in an interesting way. Got my GED as well. So shout out to people who got to GED and found a way to press through. So I'm with you guys. Been married going on 15 years in June. So I understand very well what you're talking about. But here's what I'm saying. At our jobs, particularly in your field, you have to keep up with medical conditions, with different laws. There are constant changes and nuances in the field that you work in. Marriage is one of the most stable things that you are in. And I think what happens is we stay on our P's and Q's when it comes to the job, and then we get kind of lazy in our marriages. And that's the point that I'm making, is that in our relationships, instead of us finding reasons, I didn't learn, where if you're going to be a wife, figure it out, learn it. If I'm going to be a husband, I can't marry my wife and then marry her and say to her, well, hey, be patient with me because I don't know how to be a husband. That doesn't make sense. If I'm going to be married, I've got to put the time in to become the kind of husband she needs so that I'm not wasting her life, her time. And the same thing as a wife. You can't get married to a guy and say, oh, well, I'm sorry, I don't know how to do this. Be patient with me. I mean, you can say that, but the effort needs to be in there to show that I'm absolutely value you and I'm going to put the time and effort in to become the wife that you need. In our relationships, we don't do that. And that's the point that I'm making. That's the point that I'm making.
To that. Yeah. I submit to that reasoning because you're 100% correct. It is, I have no pushback. I agree with you 100%. It takes work. It takes work because we are developing. I'm not the same person 5 years ago, 10 years ago when I first got married. My husband's not the same person. So I have a responsibility to grow together, to still understand him, to still figure out who he is and how to love him today, compared to how he was 5-10 years ago. And so I agree with you. I have no pushback and I submit to that. You are correct.
Ladies and gentlemen, we agree.
Black, and definitely. I love when we come together as a family.
I would say this.
Build with us, Black David.
I would say this. What Sohail said when Hanifa is on point because yet we African, when we come to the country, we don't bring our history, what happened 3 generations behind. We bring back what we do leave is from what happened recently. Right now, there's a political issue that going on in my country whereby people who don't have the money to buy a plane ticket to go abroad. They're going by any means necessary, going across the border, hopping on a van or two, go across another country, or jump on a boat. For the past 2-3 years, I watch the news through links I get up from my feed from my friends and peers. So I can understand what's going on. What I do understand is, so Hell said it totally correct about we bringing ancient trauma and trying to apply it to our life. What I do believe what's going on, it's not ancient trauma that is happening. They are not ancient, but recent trauma that they suppress. Like Hanifa just said. A lot of grown people know how to compartmentalize, keep past misery, put it on one side of the brain, and continue to function until that thing gets overwhelming. Child molestation is big. It's big among the Caribbean. It's also big among the African. People don't talk about it because people are not educated about it. Is which in last year now, I realized they had an organization in my country that fighting against child molestation. There was an article I read, which is shocking. I told my wife about it a few days ago. A woman who is married to her husband had two daughters, two or three daughters, and her husband had been sleeping with both daughters behind her back for years. Keyword, for years. When I read the article, I think lasted for almost 3 to 4 years until one day she came back from work and she caught her husband in the act of molesting one of her daughters that she gave birth to, together with him. She forgave him and gave him one last warning. She went back to work the next day. It happened again. I scratched my head while reading the article, like, why you didn't call the cops the first time? It's not known in my country. Until she came back and found out again she couldn't take it no more. She called the police. They investigated. I interviewed the two girls. They said they've been going on for almost 6 years. Imagine how many African and Caribbean families that hide these dark secrets within themselves, and they're fortunate not to say not a damn word about it.
See, compartmentalizing to me, see, look, like, okay, here's what I understand about compartmentalizing. And I'm gonna speak from my personal experience, right? I was I was in Afghanistan. I was 18 years old at the time. I turned 19. My 19th birthday was when I was in Afghanistan. Okay. And the job that I had was actually combat related. We actually would interact with other people shooting small arms and other things like this. Now, in terms of survival, being able to make it through that 6 months, I had to compartmentalize. I can't on Monday see a suicide bomber try and blow us up, and then on Tuesday go back on the road still thinking about that same suicide bomber. I had to compartmentalize. That was an intentional choice. That was a choice that I made to put that in a box and keep it away. Okay. So when people start doing this that's my only problem with compartmentalizing, right? When people start doing that, that is a choice you're making. That is a choice you're making. There is no way in the world you can tell me that you don't feel this pain and go in your mind and say, I'm going to put this in a box and throw it away. That's a choice you're making. Outside of survival, I don't see any reason to do it. I don't see any justification to compartmentalize. And the story that you just shared, to compartmentalize that, that's you being weak. That is you being weak and not being able to stand up for something. Your own kids? Compartmentalize. I don't like that. I just that to me, I don't like that. That is a choice that we're making to avoid fixing something we have going on. I understand a lot of people deal with a lot of different things, and I understand, I get it. But when you're choosing not to deal with it, it's your choice. And choosing not to deal with it is going to cause lasting effects. It's going to affect more than just you. It's going to affect your kids. It's going to affect your community. It's going to affect the people that you trust around you. It's going to affect so much. When you start choosing to put these things in a box, come on, man, that is unfair and unrealistic.
100
And
watts.
I'm glad you say that. I got pushback when I address certain things like that among my people because they put pride and image before addressing that issue. 'Cause when I read that article, I was thinking like, God forbid I was a relative or a cousin. I would not hesitate to get that guy a lightning uppercut right on the spot. But for me being a Nigerian, when I speak about things in my community, in my family, I get so much pushback that say it's not your business. It's mind your business. I'm like, so you just go to brush it like it's no big deal? Like, are you kidding me? Because I came from an American background, living there for 7 years, showing them that this is not right. But in their mind, in their eyes, I don't know what I'm talking about. They be quiet. You too young. You're a baby. You don't understand the big picture. This what happened in Caribbean and African countries to this day. And what you say, 100 watt, is right on point. The problem is, it's hard to break a well-established culture that been going on for ages. Imagine how many people are being molested.
I don't care about
I,
that.
I, I,
I got more
I,
respect for somebody willing to stand out as an individual to say this is what's going on in my life, rather than trying to fit into the mold and say, no, I'm fine. Everything's cool over here. My family's just like everybody else's. Nah, bro.
But that's more politically correct, though, 100 watts. And by the way, I love your stance. I respect it so much. The only thing I'm going to say before I get off the stage, I mean, is this. Sir Hill spoke about relationships, and so the candid ad. One of the things that I observe about us specifically in this space, we are having some extremely dishonest conversations around relationships. They are very surface based, and it is only a reflection of how we're actually doing relationship, very surface based and very dishonest. You talked about wives and husbands. People are getting married and they don't even know the first thing about being husbands. Women are getting married and don't know the first thing about being wives. Black women and black men do not trust each other. We do not trust each other, but it's easier to just generalize black women, and it's easier to generalize black men than to face each other and discuss why I don't trust you. And a part of it is that if people really start talking about these uncomfortable conversations, let me just say this: people can unravel. Like, it can turn their lives upside down. That's a real thing. And I'm speaking to the compartmentalization. I agree with you 100 watts. Most people do it out of survival. That's it. Like, people want children, they want that life, right? So they're going to pretend that everything is okay. That is survival. At the end of the day, within this society, it's them trying to meet a standard. It depends on how you see survival. Survival is not necessarily life and death always. It's just more so like, in order for me to get what I want, to get the status that I want, then I'm going to pretend to be something I'm not.
That's not survival. That's not survival then. That changes the definition altogether.
But wait, doesn't that affect someone's bag being affected, right? By them telling the truth about something. So they have to lie. That's not survival, because it's messing up their access to those resources. That you don't see that survival? Sorry.
I think you're conflating survival with trying to move up with status. And sometimes we got to put integrity back at the forefront, and we don't have to worry about trying to fit in with anybody. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, at some point we have to be honest with ourselves. See, this is why we stay where we are. It's because we say we want to move upward, and we don't do the hard work it takes to address the things that are going on inside of us and change that for us. We're still trying to keep up with people, even though we aren't healed within ourselves. So I don't think what you're saying is survival. I think this is the dishonesty of trying to keep up appearances, as opposed to dealing with trauma so that we heal. And the growth we see on the outside is a reflection of what we have on the inside. I think even this, if we want to go deeper, this feeds into why we buy the things we buy. We buy expensive houses and cars that we can't afford, and we generate debt, and we buy clothes and stuff, and we don't have knowledge because we're trying to keep up appearances instead of doing the hard work, which is working on our mind, being honest about who we are, and finding something solid to stand on.
I'm gonna give you an example, and maybe Black David can speak to this. I'm not even because where I'm from is not necessarily a huge issue, but I know in some parts of the Caribbean it is, and in some countries in Africa. Sir Hill, do you consider bleaching a form of survival? Do you see that as just fitting in?
I'm not educated enough to speak on that one.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll listen to that.
I'll speak on that. I'm glad you brought that topic. I tried to answer that question on another podcast before. To me, bleaching is not survival.
Yes,
it is not
100.
survival. Let me tell you why I said that. I spent 7 years in Nigeria. I went to elementary school and I went to high school, but there was no middle school. To observe, to watch, to pay close attention to that community, and see the fact that colorism not only going on in the U.S., it's also going on in Africa to a level whereby the lighter you are, the more accepted, the more favor you will get. What's happening over there as well. You see how dark I am? While in high school, they give me the nickname as Shadow, meaning if they would have turned off the light, all you see is my eye and my teeth. If I wear a shade and close my mouth, you ain't gonna see me. I'll blend in the dark. I got picked on for being dark skinned. My mom and dad church that I grew up in, with a church that I know you guys see it out here in the state. You see African folk wearing these white garment looking like Charlene gum whatsoever, walking barefooted. There are two birds on that church. The people, the ladies in those church were bleaching themselves. They were dark as me. They didn't like how they look. When I see them, at first they thought with the face. The face looked so light skinned, but a knuckle is brown. I was like, imagine a little kid like me watching them, like, not trying to say anything, but you see it with your own community. They're going too hard. There's a huge market in my country that's on the soap, the ornament, the lotion that you apply after 3 months or so, you get a different shade. And I'm questioning myself, do you really hate yourself? For real? It's not survival. It's self-hate. I don't call it survival if you gotta go that far to bleach yourself from one skin tone to the point whereby you almost look like a white person. Michael Jackson did it. Yet he had a skin pigmentation issue, but he went so far to do the whole entire skin. This is the self-hate that have been pushed down by the European and people who come like different countries as well, because they made it seem that they was acceptable. The lighter you are, the more accepted you get. You know how the black sisters who in my skin color or darker will look down in my country as if they're not beautiful.
Who wants to be in that position though? That's my point. That's why I brought it up when we were talking. And I know, Sir Hill, I get you. I so get you what you're saying. But I don't necessarily, and I think I still disagree that it may not be survival to you. And by the way, to me too, I see it as trying to fit in, right? I'm a bald woman with a septum in my nose. Like, I don't care to fit in. I really don't, right? And I have my own opinions and everything. However, I also know there's a ton of other Black women who are not wired like me. And they are looking and saying, if I want to get here, these are the things that I need to do. So for them, and that's when I say survival, I'm not, for them, it's survival. It's the only way that they can get to the status that they desire. I may not necessarily desire what they desire, but they desire it. And so for them, it's like, I'm just going to do whatever I have to do. I agree. There's a level of weakness involved and there's a level of fitting in. And I don't disagree with you as far as Black people in general as a collective. If we're going to talk about it, I actually feel like we are too busy trying to exist in somebody else's reality. We are too busy trying to uphold other people's paradigms. I mean, if we really want to take it there, do I agree with that? Yes. But when we talk about individuals, I'm sorry, when we talk about individuals, I'm just being careful how I have this conversation because it's not always that black and white. It just isn't.
I agree.
Yeah, that's all.
You know, I got to push back on that though, right?
Of course.
Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is that black and white.
Okay.
My only point is that we can't be a victim and then contribute to the thing we're saying we're being victimized by. We got to stand on something, plain and simple. Now this is coming from now listen, I am a dark skin. I was called Blackie growing up. Blackie, that was my name. And I had pimples, so I was called Blackie with pimples, right? And I was taken out of school in the 3rd grade, so I didn't go through school. And right, I moved multiple times. I didn't have a father, right? So all the statistics that you can think of, I was called that. At some point, you have to exist based off of the principles you set for your life because no one gives a care about you, right? You got to stand on something and you got to build upon that. And so I can't cry and say the world makes it hard for me to do this, which let's be honest, there are some hardships, right? But what's the alternative? Am I going to cry about me having to fit in, or I'm going to choose something, stand on it, and move in that direction? And what I'm hoping our people do is that we spend less time talking about, I have to do this to survive. No, we have economic power. We have access to information. We've got access to community. Let's utilize that, and let's create the outcomes that we want to have. This is coming from somebody who did not go through school, who didn't fully matriculate, homeless, poverty, all the things you could think of, and found a way to make something out of himself. So that's the point that I'm making.
So how
You
do
can't,
we get?
you
How
can't
do
be a
we?
victim and then contribute to what you're being victimized by and then complain about
I
it.
completely agree, Sir Hill. My question then is this, because I feel like when we have these conversations, they are very anecdotal, personal experiences that we're speaking of, right? So if we're talking about Black people as a collective, my question to what you just said, because I don't disagree, there's no pushback from me there. I'm simply saying, so at some point, I agree. You can't participate in the thing that you're saying is victimizing you. How do we get our people there as a collective? What do you think need? What things do you think need to be put in place? Whether around education, whether around our households, how do we push us there? Not individually, but as a collective. Where do we begin?
We start
See,
with
I think that
policies, and we start with politics, and we start with our politicians, and we hold them accountable. I'm sorry, I'm going to jump off. I'm not going to take too long because I want to come back for the conversation about women later on, and I got to get these closed. I got to get these closed done. However, I want to say that as a collective, we have to stop accepting song and dance from our politicians and hold them accountable through action, through policies. And we have to, these are some of the things that, I think I often say that Black people, we like to peacock too much. We like the song and the dance and the celebration too much. What we have to do is we have to get these things written down in policy. We have to participate in our PTA meetings. We have to participate in our local authority to get these things done. Otherwise, they'll give us a show. They know that we love a show, and they'll give us a show and then go back to business as usual, which is screw you. We don't care about you. And so we have to, one, get our money up, because if you don't have money, if you don't have power, you better have money in this country. And so if we don't have power, you better have money, because money is power, unfortunately, in this country. And the other thing that's powerful is community. So if we don't have money power, if we have community, we have power in community. And so therefore, if we can get 1, 2, and 3 accomplished, I might have money. A bunch of people might have a community, and if we can put that together and have our needs met with policy, then we can actually get something done. So that's all I'm gonna say for now. I do want to come back a little bit later. Before I gotta get my husband's clothes out the laundry, you guys. I got a wifing to do. So I'm gonna come back. I'm
that's
gonna be
how you
listening.
start to change what Candy Ann is doing. That's my whole point.
With these
What you're
clothes.
doing right now.
And on
Family.
on a simpler level, I really think it's about just us, like outside of policy and all of that. It's about us, right? It's too many of us calling each other Pookies and Ray Rays and
Yes.
Shaniquas and LaQuishas. Like,
Yes.
I
forget
can
the
agree with that.
policy, forget the company, the country and all of that. Like the way that we interact with each other has to be
Yes.
different. Like Black
Yes.
Man was just talking about how he got called shadow in high school. Like, why are we doing that? What are we doing that for? You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm lighter skinned than both of these gentlemen here on this panel, but I got Joseph, because if you can see from here from my forehead, like I've had skin problems my entire life, right? Like I've had skin problems my entire life. Even being lighter than you two gentlemen, they still find a way to pick at us. There's still a way for other Black men to beat up other Black men. Like, come on, man. Like we have to do better than this. Like I had a conversation on another panel not too long ago. A lot of us grew up in the era of roasting or joning or whatever it is that you want to call. All it is just a bunch of people come together and find out what is the most entertaining, disrespectful way I can address you. How can I be disrespectful and entertaining at the same time? We have to stop doing that dumb shit, because
Hey,
it's doing
remember,
nothing but it's doing nothing but damaging us. So when we're talking about people bleaching their skin for survival, that's not survival. That's trying to fit in. That's you trying to get into a way. Because at the end of the day, honestly, most of the Black men that I hang out with love other Black women. So when you start doing stuff like taking away from your Blackness, now it's just like a side effect of other problems. You're dealing with stuff internally that you're projecting out on other people. So now you're trying to lighten your skin.
We
Like
need a whole conversation around bleaching, because I think there's a big part of it that you guys are missing. It is not just about fitting in. It just isn't. It is. We cannot chuck that to just fitting in or just self-hate. Can I say that that's some of it? Yes, but that's not all of it. Imagine being
it's
in a
multifaceted.
imagine being in a society where the people who are lighter are getting the access to what we consider the best. Imagine that.
And I no what Hanifa, I get what you're saying. That when I say living in Nigeria, I get that because
Can you guys explain that to me though, and maybe to the audience as well? What do you
let me
mean by you say status and access to stuff? Like what
let me
kind of stuff
explain.
and
Let
status?
me explain very well. In Nigeria, right? There are a lot of people after I left that country. Before I left, people were graduating from college at a later age due to the back and forward political issue. There's no start at the young undergrad whatsoever. So even though they graduate from university or they graduate from college, some of these businesses, some of these companies play favoritism among the women. If you are lighter, which figure, you're more than likely to get a job than one who's darker because some of these bosses, they have that same ignorant mentality. They don't want no one dark skin. They don't think they're not beautiful enough. They don't think they're pretty enough. So they look for all the light skin where they can bring onto their office. And the reason why they're doing that, let's be real. Some of these bosses trying to sleep with their secretary or trying to sleep with their assistant. And they want to throw around their power. So I get what she's saying about access to try to get in. Because Nigeria business laws are not the same as the United States business law. The U.S. business law is well put together to stop stuff like that at the gate. But in Nigeria and many other African countries, we have not got there because the politicians, you cannot even hold their feet to the fire if you want to. You can imagine that. I watch a lot of video of politicians disrespecting their community they represent, calling about saying whatever they do, they could care less. But the problem is, even if you want to vote that man out, you can't even vote that man out if you wanted to. Alone they can rig the election to their favor and no one is stopping them. Imagine all the African countries whereby they trying to have democracy, but there's no such a democracy in that nation. People are losing their life to protest against. I watch on the news in one country, their leader tell them to shoot to kill, call these protesting terrorists. The thing that happened in my country at Lekki Gate with a non-violent protest, and the military police intentionally shot at them. That is not new. That's been going on for more than 20, 30, 40 years.
Can I bring it home? Because I apologize to the panel. I'm going to leave, but I want to apologize to the panel because I just realized something. Let me bring it home here to America. Can we do that? Because maybe
You could do that. You could do that. You could do that.
bleaching
It's
piece
understandable.
is not landing because it's not that huge of a deal here. Okay, something as simple as Black women having to perm their hair. Can we look at that? And in order to work in certain environments, right, to make a certain amount of money, that's another example of it. So when I say I know, and I you guys could tell I'm going to stand on the survival piece because I think it is a form of survival, because for them it's sort of like, no, I need to go and do this because this is what I went to school to do, and I mean this is what I went to school for, and this is the type of job I've always aspired to have. So if that means I have to go and put some chemicals in my hair, I am going to do so. That is them trying to get access to a dream, right? Or to the bag, as we call it. That I'm going to bring it home to America. But I want to apologize because I was thinking and I was like, you know what? That's not, bleaching might not be a huge deal for Black Americans, right? So maybe I need to bring it closer to home. Maybe
And
perming
It's
here.
a big deal. It's a big deal for
Hanifa,
Black American as well as
Is
African.
it?
Black Dave, if I could real quick, Hanifa, it's crazy that you did that because I wanted to apologize to you because I wanted to like as you were talking, as you and Black Dave were talking, I was realizing that I was speaking from a perspective of an American Black man. You know what I'm saying? To be able to understand what it is that you're talking about. In another country, because as he was sitting there talking, it is just like, yeah, no, I can't relate to that. So I wanted to apologize to the point that you were making because I can't speak to that preference. I mean, to that experience. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
I wanted.
that's fair. I think that's a lesson learned when we're having these conversations as the diaspora, is that, and I caught it as Black David was speaking, and I was like, wait a minute, I probably should not have used that example. You know,
That's
you
on my
gotta
home.
know.
Let me listen. Let me listen. I don't
Yeah,
know about this.
I
Gotcha.
know you got to know your audience, so I apologize for that. And then
No, it's
secondly,
fine. It's fine.
I apologize because the topic actually is, do all men lack ambition in relationships? And I just want to respond to that and say, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
But it's
And I'm
still a
going to
great
go ahead and
it's a
head
great
out.
conversation. It's a great conversation, either you like it or not.
Yeah, I'm going
Absolutely.
to head out, guys. I appreciate you guys' respect and thank you for the peaceful conversation.
Do you have a channel?
Yes, I do. It's Hanifa Nayela. I just started YouTube. So feel free to subscribe, Sir Hale.
I definitely will. Definitely will. Nice meeting you.
So we still on for next week, right?
Yes, of course. Of
All right,
course.
cool.
Yes, I'm
Fair
going to
enough.
reach out to you. All right, peace.
Wait, what's
and
going on
salute
next week?
and much respect to everyone.
All right. See you later, Hanifa. And thank you for tuning in. What's going on for next week, 100 watts?
She hit me up and said she wanted to have a nice conversation about Black fathers and stuff like that on her page as well. So yeah, I think that's a great conversation, especially with her. Like it's going to be a nice, directed, constructive conversation, right? Because some people just aren't able to handle certain conversations. I think she is. So I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, I would definitely tune into it as well. I don't know what date, but yeah, just let us know. Yeah, man, these was like definitely like great conversations. I mean, it turned out a lot better than what I expected. To be honest with you, like when I posted that title, I wasn't for sure like if it was gonna get like a lot of negative attention or what, but it turned out pretty positive.
You know what that is people have this perception that women, because people know that women are the highest consumers, they think that men don't come together for conversations like this. A lot of people think that men don't talk to other men about stuff like this. Like, we really do have these conversations. Y'all just haven't been privy to them. As Black Man Unfiltered says, like, a lot of this happens in the barbershop and stuff like that. So because you don't sit in the barbershops with these Black men to have these conversations, you think we don't have them. If you've ever been in a locker room with other Black men, we talk about stuff like this on a regular basis. You know what I'm saying? So I think that we as a collective have come together to prove that men do talk to we do talk to each other. It's not like we just out here just not talking to each other, just blindly just walking through life. Like we talk to each other.
To that point, though, I think is the fact that we can talk to each other, because I hate the idea that we're unintelligent, we can't speak, we don't know how to express ourselves. I'm so sick of that. No, we do, and we talk about it, but we talk about it in a safe space where we can just say it without it coming back on us. So, absolutely agree.
Then I don't understand. They made a movie called The Barbershop 1, 2, and 3, and they showcased that what men do within the barbershop. When Black Men Unfiltered create barbershop talk on Friday, I think that's what we need. Where a space where we all can come on a Friday night.
But the problem is, if I'm not mistaken, the last two had women in the barbershop with them, if I'm not mistaken.
What happened, they went to the barbershop, they knock on the glass and say, "Can I come in? Can I join in?" Because it's a bunch of guys in there. That do happen sometimes. Let's be real.
We don't talk the same when there's women around. We don't talk the same when ladies are around.
100%. 100%.
Right.
Hey, I do want to get Mr. Hale's perspective. If you wouldn't mind, just one of the questions that we answered here today. Would you mind pulling up, M3, Mr. Best of the, Mr. Best in the world? If you still here in the back, you know what I'm saying. Just one of them. I just want to hear from this gentleman's perspective, because I do like listening to him. He's definitely one of the older gentlemen's perspective that I like being able to pull in. So I just wanted to see if maybe he could answer one of the questions.
One of the questions that we previously highlighted.
Yes. One of the what was it, 7? Before we get out of here, because you sound like you was about to wrap up. You know what I'm saying?
No, actually, I forgot what I was gonna say. No, you good. Let me go ahead and highlight this real quick.
Cause you give us a real hard question earlier. You got us some stump question. I'm like, where the guy go with that question from? This is a quick question.
Oh, that's a nice little starter.
I mean, shout out. Oh, we say nice little.
See it again. See what I'm talking about? See what he doing right now with this question right here?
I mean, look, I could put out like number 6. Or let me see what
number 6. Let's start right there. Let's start right there, Mr. Hale.
Mr. Hale, answer that. You gotta answer this question.
Let me get you
right
here.
What you gotta.
That's a tough one.
See, he had the same face I had.
So here's
that was
what it
one
is.
I could not answer at first. So,
I think I think women who want to make it have to be more ambitious than men if they want to compete at the same level. So let's just say women who are not looking to have the traditional life, a husband, family, then she does have to be more ambitious than a man does, because she has to overcome perceptions about what she can't do, certain careers she can't take that are higher paying, so on and so forth. So in a sense, yes. In general, though, I can't say that women are more ambitious, because men know that if we don't get up and do it, ain't nobody coming to save us. We don't have government support. We don't have a lot of programs available to help us out. So I think if you take these two different contexts, unless a woman doesn't want to have a family, then she has to be. But if I just answer this blanket, no, I think men have to be more ambitious than women.
Okay, hold on. So to make it clear, right? Men have to be more ambitious than women, but currently you're saying women are more ambitious than men.
No, I'm not saying that. Okay. I can't say that, because it just if she wants to be a wife and she's got some, like, look, let me tell you something. Like my wife, the ambition just not there, right? Just started a job and she quit. Me, I'm out there getting it, right? Because that's who I am. That's my makeup. Now, a woman who does not have that, if she wants to be successful, it's just proven that a lot of our women earn significantly lower than our men over a lifetime and carry more debt. So if she's going to win, then she does have to be more ambitious in certain areas. So if I break it down to those two categories, a woman who wants to be married, no. A woman who doesn't want to be, yes. Overall, if we just chips in the bag, no. Men are more ambitious than women, because we know we have to be.
Okay. I understand.
What are your guys' thoughts? What's your thought on that?
See, and the answer I had for that was that, and because we were speaking in terms of in a relationship, right? So answering that question in terms of a relationship.
Oh, in a relationship. Yeah. Why y'all give me no context, man? I'm up there thinking about a world narrative.
You won't hear from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? My bad. My apologies.
In relationships, men.
Yeah. And my thought process was, men are more ambitious than women because our responsibilities are different. So if a man doesn't do what he's responsible for, then the whole family can suffer. But if a woman doesn't do what she was, again, not to conflate women's responsibilities, but if a woman doesn't do what she's responsible for, then that can be fixed. You know what I'm saying? Like Candid Ann was just talking about, like, she's doing laundry right now. She decided not to do laundry. Either it can get done the next day or we can hire somebody to come in and do it. But if I, as a man, don't do what it is that's required of me, we can end up homeless.
I say another part to that, though. I think part of that is because culturally we just so you meet a girl, you take her out to dinner, pick her up, plan the restaurant, pay for the dinner, take her back home, see that she gets in, call her, make sure you tell her she's beautiful, compliment her, protect her, provide for her. You get married, you get her a house, a car, make sure you got insurance and investment set up, make sure that the house has insurance on that, make sure that the car payments are fully right. So we have a lot more on us, and we've created a culture where we pedestalize women. It's just what we do, and we don't have as many requirements of them as men have. And so I think culturally we are more ambitious because we have more to prove. We are constantly improving mode. And so we hear things like, I'll be feminine for the right man, right? Because we're always improving mode, and women get the ability to have conditional femininity, whereas you've never heard a brother say, I'll be masculine under the right circumstances, right? So we constantly have to prove ourselves. And I think it's the life stuff you talked about, but I think it's culturally, we just expect men to keep on performing and do more and more. And our women can be lenient because it's culturally accepted.
I got a question to ask you about that. Whenever you hear women say well, I could be feminine for the right man, do you think a woman should be feminine all the time? Well, I can't say 24/7, but do you think naturally a woman should be or stay in her feminine? Does it really have to take the right guy to? Okay. No,
if she listen, for anybody out here who's dating, if you hear a woman says this, she is being inauthentic. You don't turn femininity on and off. Now, to be fair, if we want to go from a biological perspective,
what if we change feminine? What if we change feminine to submissive? What if we change that?
No, because submissive takes away the. See, you can have a guy submissive to you. You wouldn't marry him, right? So when we talk about feminine, it's just not them yielding to you. It's all the other stuff that comes with femininity, such as nurturing, such as caring, such as presence, such as warmth. Those come, that's what we consider when it comes to even wisdom comes with that. Anybody can submit. That's a part of submission, but that doesn't encompass all the things that come under the umbrella of femininity. Right. So no, a woman can't just turn this switch off. She doesn't. And again, if we go to biology, women, there were times where they have to use the masculine energy to do certain things. Like I would say, if the house was burning and she has to save her children, well, she can't just be nurturing. She's got to take on that energy to get her kids and her family out of that. But in the context of relationships, if a woman is feminine, she's going to be feminine, period. It is not something you turn on and you turn off. Just like masculine. Either you're masculine or you're not. It is not a switch you can turn on. And if you try to, you're going to be found out to be a fraud. And no one's going to want to take you seriously.
And what you're speaking to, I think, is a perfect example of the double standards that exist in life. There are some things that men can get away with that women can't get away with. There are some things that women can get away with that men just can't get away with, right? So you're speaking to the double standard. I feel like women using that is part of the double standard that just exists in life. And I understand that because I'm pretty sure you guys have seen a woman who would spaz out on a dude and act a complete fool if he walked up trying to spit game on her. But as soon as you walk up to her, she's completely different. Like her energy changes. She likes the way that you smell or the way that you walked up or the confidence that you walk with or what you have on. You see what I'm saying?
Same thing with code approaching too.
And that's why I can agree to a woman saying that, because I mean, we know of women that have been in relationships with dudes that just are not ambitious. They have no fucking goals. They have nothing planned for their life, right? And she's giving him everything in the world. She's giving him everything to be who he's supposed to be, but he's just lazy, right? And then she gets with the next man and she gives him the same things, and he actually does ascend and grow and become better in all these other things. I think that is a double standard that exists, but I think it's a fair double standard, because I don't expect a woman to treat me the same. If she's my woman, I don't expect her to treat me the same as she does M3, and that's I don't expect that.
Absolutely,
M3 is not her man, so M3 should not receive the same treatment that I receive.
So wait a second. So let me make sure I get this right. So are you saying this in relation to femininity? Is that what we're talking about?
That's why I changed. That's why when I asked the question, why I changed it from femininity to submissiveness.
So here's what we got to understand.
Because where I agree with you, femininity, like you're a woman, you're a woman. I don't.
And I would say about the attitude, yeah.
I don't need all that when you out in public, right? You know, the femininity, right? But in terms of submissiveness, the things that you would do for me, the lengths that you would go to make me happy versus the next man.
I got a response for you.
That's what I'm talking about.
So this is why in our community we have to have wives and sisters. So the feminine energy that M3 should get is that of a sister, still feminine, but you see the role, you see how we change it up a little bit, and the world that she gives to you is that of a wife. So the energy that doesn't change, it's the behavior we have toward each other. That's why in our community, when we call each other brother and sister, that's why this is so important, because we're signaling to each other that, of course, you don't get everything that I give the person that I'm with, but you still do get a degree of respect and honor. And that is something that you can't turn on and turn off.
Yeah. Because you don't have to do everything that I'm telling you to do. I'm not your husband. But at least give me the same respect as the same that I'm giving you the respect. If I'm respecting you as a sister, I expect that same respect for you to treat me as a brother. I ain't gonna be like, okay, submit to my every will and do this and that. But at least
because you're gonna respect your brother. So we won't even cross that line. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I get it. Something else I was gonna say too, but I forgot.
Did I answer that though? Did I answer your question?
Hey, M3, write that down, man. That's a whole nother episode we could sit here and talk about for 3 hours, dog. Please write that down.
What you want me to write down?
Conditional femininity or submissiveness. Conditional submissiveness, I guess, would be a better one or the other.
I get you though. Hold on.
I think that'd be a great conversation, because I mean, honestly, I can understand, because and speaking as a man, there are some women that I meet across on my day to day. I would not give the time of day. I just wouldn't give them the time of day. And then there are some women that I do come across that I would entertain whatever it is that they're talking about. You know what I'm saying? There are some women that I would actually sit down and have a conversation with and everything like that. In my personal opinion, those two women get treated differently. Those two women get treated differently. So for a woman to do that to a man, I don't see that as unfair.
I get what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Welcome back.
Glad to be back.
Hey, what's up, brother?
What's going on, Sir Hill? Good to see you, bro. Yet again. You know what I mean? Had to step away for a moment. But yeah, I know y'all building on stuff. Make sure everybody, y'all like and subscribe to everybody on your content. Sir Hill Speaks. He had a wonderful interview with Just Kaya the other day. It was phenomenal. Definitely. You know what I mean? Like and subscribe to Finesse Visions. You know what I mean? Definitely show him some love. We got some great content. We got to continue that wrestling conversation too, bro. I got to get up in there again. You know what I mean? Salute to Black David. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Salute to him. This content.
Hey, I appreciate it. I'm trying to be what I know and understand.
Definitely. And definitely like and subscribe to Knowledge and Relationship. If you don't like and subscribe to the content on here, like I said, no hearts for you on Valentine's Day. No hearts at all.
Valentine's Day is coming, fellas. And ladies as well too. So
me and my wife, we don't celebrate Valentine's Day because we had an issue with pagan holidays. Because there's something we've been doing for the past, I don't know, maybe 6-7 years. We sat and had a conversation about these holidays, and we realized something was going on. Just like Christmas,
yeah,
there's no Santa Claus in the Bible. Why are we doing this? There's no Christmas tree in the Bible. Why are we doing this? Valentine, only one day out of 365 days of the year to say I love you. Like, are you for real?
As someone who hasn't, right? So you're of a different culture than American. Are these holidays something that are for, like, which of these holidays do y'all even acknowledge outside of America? Like, which ones are even acknowledged at all?
Christmas is acknowledged, but not in the same way as Santa. Some kind of practice Santa Claus. A lot of churches say no, this you don't call it Christmas. We call it no, it's Easter, Resurrection Day. The day that Jesus Christ resurrected. Christmas, we say we're not sure it is Jesus Christ's birthday, but we tell it in honor of who He is as our Savior. That is correct.
Well, can I say this real quick, Black David? Real quick.
Go ahead.
You know, people historically do the history. Christ wasn't even born in the wintertime. He was actually born, I think, either the spring or they said the fall or something like that. Like he wasn't even born in the wintertime.
I believe it was
September,
like
October. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, let me say this though, right?
Jewish thought, Christian thought, Western thought, all get different thoughts when he was born.
Yeah. I'll say this though. In my opinion, you know, all these holidays is just a marketing scheme, you know, just to get you to spend. But my thing is that why church partakes in that? You know, they'll say like, oh, this is Christ's birthday, but it's like, how will you really know? I don't even know exactly, you know what I mean? When was Jesus Christ born? I'm just saying. But
can I say that for you?
Yeah.
It's not that the church gets together and we say, you know what, hey, we're going to observe this. You remember, there are people in the church, right? There are people in there. And I think that because we don't know what day he was born, as a believer, I personally don't give a care when he was born. I'm just glad that he was. And so we take that day to observe that. And I think that's fine.
Right. Yeah, I definitely feel on that one. Oh, real quick.
To me, the Valentine Day was kind of like a rip off. Like,
yeah.
You know,
Wait, hold on for a minute, Black David.
alone?
Yeah, hold on for a minute, Black David. Real quick. Just want to let you guys know if you guys and ladies are available, like in the chat, to tune in within 2 hours for the ladies' night stream that will start at 6:00 p.m. Pacific time. We will be talking about, and it's kind of similar to like in the format of like, you know, why all men. You know, why they say all men are not ambitious. It's going to be the same thing. What's going to be titled, do all women lack accountability? So stay tuned to that. It's going to be, hopefully it's going to be a fire topic. Yeah, I know. So just letting y'all know. Stay tuned in the next 2 hours for that. But go ahead, y'all.
You know that's a time bomb. You know that, right?
I say appreciate you, Mischief. You know, Black David, Wander, appreciate y'all. Good talk. I'll talk with y'all soon.
All right,
Definitely. Later, sir. Thank you, bro.
Mhm.
That question you gonna give for the lady to talk about? Ooh, that's a time bomb. That could be a time bomb.
Yeah, but good thing like one of our our best sisters like Miss Sharabi Chicago, she will be hosting it for tonight. So stick around. She's gonna be telling like a lot of good truth along with the rest of the ladies as well. So
Oh, Sheree gonna be here. I'm definitely pulling up.
Sure. You know what?
Nah, I'm playing. I'm
Sh-
playing.
I know
I'm
I gotta
playing.
do
not
No,
laundry.
no,
I wish you was
Sheree.
going to my
Sheree,
house.
Sheree be Chicago.
Sheree, not Sherelle. Sheree.
Sure ain't. Oh,
Sheree be Chicago. You talking about Sherelle, the firecracker, the Louisiana Spice. That's who you talking
Yeah.
about.
Hmm.
should be Chicago. That's one of the people. I know what you're talking about.
Oh
No,
man.
Sheree be Chicago's her own people, but yeah, don't worry, just tune in, you'll see.
Hey man, I know you said that this conversation was a little better than what you expected. You know what I'm saying? Again, one more time to knowledge and relationships. Shout out to M3, Mister. If you know, you know. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to y'all. You feel me? This was definitely a great conversation. This was constructed in such an amazing way. The people you guys had on this panel, it was amazing. Like I was completely involved in this. Like I was, man, and the fact that y'all had candid and hop up, hop off, and then hop right back up is just an expression of what you guys are doing over here. I want to say that I wish nothing but the best for y'all. I want nothing but love for y'all, complete growth. I'm gonna always pop up whenever I can because Mr. Best, it don't matter what's going on. He always makes sure he send me the StreamYard link. So I look, man, it's always love from y'all. It's always love from me. So I hope nothing but the best from y'all, and y'all continue doing what y'all doing over here, man.
Hey, likewise, the same for you
Thank you,
guys as
brother.
well
Thank you.
too,
Thank you.
and not Hawks. So
I would
shout
Thank
say
you,
out to
One
y'all
this.
too.
Harder. Thank you.
I enjoyed the conversation. I enjoyed the format. I enjoyed the tough question that you threw us in there. You threw us a monkey wrench, and you got us thinking like, how do we answer this question? Should I go down this path or the other path? You haven't stumped until one of them say, no, 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 no. This how I put a look at. Yeah. It. We need
Now,
questions like this. We need questions like this. It'll catch you off guard, make you want to think a little deeper, and then look at yourself like, can that
and
apply
Black
to me?
David, I know if I hop on a panel with you, I know I can poke you a little bit. I can poke the bear a little bit just to see where you at. I can poke you a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
I appreciate you as well because the conversation with you as well, my brother, has been
here's the thing. I
very
have best of both worlds. I live in Africa and I lived here, so I can understand both sides of the argument where people are thinking because there have been a stigma for African people coming here. They don't know how to relate to African American people. I can because I lived their life to a certain degree how they live out here. From elementary school going to high school. Now I understand over there. But what I do know, I think the problem is they don't realize they need to be open. My high school teacher told me that you didn't know how to be open to understand people, to have a dialogue. That is needed. When you don't have that type of dialogue, you're not going to understand people's views. Even that part where they talk about colorism, about the bleaching. When she said the act of survival, I get what you were coming from, but it wasn't an act of survival. It may be a survival mindset for the women who don't have a husband, who trying to find a job to take care of whatsoever or help their family. I get that. But it's sometimes it's the ugly thing. You know, people in the acting industry end up doing that as well too. Sometimes in the sport, some people have to bleach their skin because they feel like they're not going to be accepted. It's like it's a psychological game that we play against them.
Mm.
Look at Sammy Sosa.
here's a random question I want to pose to y'all. Maybe we can give this to the ladies for later, for the live stream that they have coming up. But would it serve? I'm trying to figure out how to ask the question the right way. But this is what I think about. I think about sometimes would it be more beneficial for me to teach my daughter to be independent rather than being a wife? Because it's always possible that she can find a weak ass husband, right? It's always possible that she could possibly end up not ever married, right? It's possible she could end up with someone who's just isn't able to handle it, right? So is it more beneficial for me to teach my daughter to be an independent woman or for her to be a wife? I'm just I think that question is on its surface level isn't completely developed yet. I'm still trying to figure out how to ask the question the right way, but I think that's an interesting space for the women to touch on later.
That's a question for three different generations to sit down and talk about. You know what
You
I'm
said
saying?
for 3 generations to sit down and talk about?
Three different generations. I'm talking about the younger generation in their 20s, the midway generation in their 30s, and those in the upper 40 and 50. You know what I'm saying? That.
So what he said was you need to get OG Patrice, you
Yeah.
need to get Sherelle,
Mhm.
and JT. You need to get JT Randolph on here. Those are the three women that you need to get for this conversation right here.
Oh boy.
You hit it. You hit it
Damn.
on the nail. You hit that on the nail because you know where I was coming from. Because that question, there's no straight answer. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
You
because
have to order generation. Those think different from the middle and the one behind them. So you need those three generations with their own point of view. Because I'm probably sure that question gonna open a whole lot of dialogues. Because people start to think about it like,
but I guarantee you, like those women, those 3 women that you listed will definitely be able to like answer that question in no time with ease. Even if you get like some of the younger women like Sheree B. Chicago, and a few others to talk a little bit more into that.
I call Sherelle my
I
little.
think that's a good idea.
Sherelle like a little sister to me right now because she got that fire, but she
Yeah.
speak that truth though. I don't blame her.
Oh, that's my
Mhm.
baby right there. I love Sherelle. That's my
And you got
baby.
one another called Kamari or I forgot how to. I had to call her Cam.
Okay, Marion.
You know the
Yeah.
Brooke and Ducky show on the Heat Network when you have Cam, Janae. And what other female I forgot there? There's some young women who are very intelligent, but wise in their age. They're young, but
Mm-hmm.
very wise. Then when I mentioned those three dudes, Jetty Mike. Everyone who knows who Jetty Mike is, Jetty Mike 7. There's Chicky Banter, and there's Jonathan Barrowville. Three young, intelligent brothers. I'm talking about in their 20s. And the way they articulate themselves, you be like, I would feel like there's hope in the community because to see young guys like that think the way they were thinking, it's no different from what? They have
Yeah.
that deep level thinking because they have people to instill wisdom in them.
Yeah.
But this
Shout out
type of
to
conversation.
I was saying, sorry,
Let me stop. Let me
I was
stop.
gonna say shout out to Jedi Mike because in one of his lives he mentioned that he had to practice like public speaking because at first like and I'm for sure that probably happens to most people when you go like on the live for the first time or you practice behind the camera, you may be a little bit shy or you may speak a little bit faster because you want to get your point across, but sometimes the articulation may come off in a different direction. It's like your outcome is different from your intent. And then the most powerful thing that he said that sometimes you just have to fall back, allow like your guests to speak, so then you could have an open and listening ear to hear them what they got to say. So yeah, shout outs to him as well too.
Because
Jonathan Barron, I don't know the guy, but sound like a cool person.
he's a cool person. 'Cause I remember I think one of his last my life, he got his spot on the phone. When he doing a reaction based on that show from Kay and Kayla and him and Black Men Unfiltered.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to join in with them because that was a heated situation. But what his father dropped with the minister, he dropped some solid gel. It had everybody like, woo. That's why young people like that who got people that's still with them, we need to protect those kind of people because you know why? We in an era whereby they trying to suppress the strong black man image a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be real. Mainstream media don't care about black men being strong, being responsible.
Yeah.
They'll put the opposite of us on the outside. When I tell I'm getting tired of the junk TV. So according to Anton there, I don't blame him when he say black culture is trash. What he referring to is what they keep promoting on the mainstream media. The love of hip hop, the housewife. Man, I'll be honest with you. I'm not a fan of junk TV. I watch Japanese animes. They put like that. I'm a
All right.
black nerd. I don't entertain myself with all the toxic TV they put out there. It's not for me. I cannot relate with it. I can never relate with it. It doesn't make no sense. Why promote that? You know what I'm saying? Am I wrong? What?
No, you're not wrong. I watch the ignorance for production value because I am like one of my personal goals is to be a director and a producer. I need to watch these kinds of things so I can understand, because when I watch stuff like this, I'm looking at camera angles. What kind of transitions are you putting in here? What's the background music sound like? That's why I'm watching content like that. Right? I don't watch it for none of the other shit. I just need to watch it for what it's
I get
free
an
for.
educational purpose. I get that.
Yeah. No, and that makes sense though. Yeah, keep doing what you're doing, Watts, for sure.
Cause like I showed M3, I'm a PC nerd. I'm a black nerd, and I showed my computer. He was like, "Hey, black man asked me how much will it cost to build a pizza like I built," and I had to be honest with him. There's way to build a pizza what I built, but you have to plan it out. Either get it all at once or you space it out in between. If you know what I'm talking, I'll show him it again
Mm-hmm.
to show you guys what I'm talking about. As you can see, this
Oh,
is no
that's a
regular
whole
PC.
build.
Yeah.
You see my table? You see
Look at
where
the
it's at?
left side of it too.
That's
See
a
where my
whole
table is?
build, look.
If I had to open the glass for you guys, it would have looked like on the inside.
You got that futuristic neon look, I tell you.
Yeah, see, I'm about to be on that wave, man. Video editing would be so much easier if I had a higher processing computer, but
And
it
that's
don't
the
have
thing.
that.
I'm trying to teach people this because a
How
friend
many
of mine want to
screens? What
get
is that?
into.
Four? You have 4 or 5 screens?
I got
Oh, you
these
talking
two
those
mon-
monitors?
Yeah, because he got
these
2
two
in front
monitors
of
right
him.
here.
Then he got 2
It's
on
for
the
my
side
it's for
of
my
him.
work laptop. I got 2 monitors here. Let me just show you the whole thing. I got 2 screens here that you can see yourself live.
Okay, so you watching live in the chat, just like
Uh-huh.
These
anybody
two
else should.
these 2 screens here is for my work laptop. I have an IT job that I do for a living. I was having IT for 20 years and counting.
That's how
So the
you know he
total
be on. That's how you know he be on a computer all day because he got the Advil
I
sitting right
bet,
there next
right.
to it. That's how you know he be on the computer all day.
this is for Monday through Friday, unless I got to
Oh,
work
okay.
overtime.
Okay, so right now
Here,
you're on your weekend computer.
this is my weekend, my personal piece that I built from ground up because, like, how do I say it? For media editing. Some people tell, "Oh, I need a Mac PC." No, you don't need a Mac. You can do that with a Windows PC, but you can do so much more. The problem with today's generation, they think everything is about name brand. No, my PC is not name brand. If you build a PC,
Yeah.
it can last you much longer than the branding.
Hey man, but to speak on what you're saying, some people sleep on what you can do with your cell phone. The amount of things that you can accomplish with your cell phone, people sleeping on that. You feel me? Hey man,
I'm Android. Yeah, you can do a lot with an
hey,
Android. I know that.
Samsung Galaxy S20, baby. I do everything with this mug right
Hey,
here. The
I'm a
camera on
no.
this is A1. I'm telling you, some of the videos I do, y'all wouldn't even know that it was done with a cell phone. I
See,
promise you.
we think alike.
Yo,
I
Samsung
promise
boys,
you.
man, I tell you.
We think alike. But that's the thing, though. My thing is this: I can use my phone to remote into my PC anytime I want,
Mm-hmm.
and see who's using my PC, what's going on, or do some troubleshooting. The thing about technology, there's so much you can do with it.
Right.
So much you can go far with it. Me and my peer, we talk about talking to a small business owner how they can protect their business and invest in custom-made PC. I want to join with that conversation here because let me go. If we can take that market away from the name brand makers, not only can hurt them, we can make a business for ourselves. Because let's be real, you save you a lot of money build a PC, and every once in a while, in between time, you get a chin apart here, you chin apart here. It don't cost you much in the long run.
Hey, here's a random fact for y'all. Here's
Mm-hmm.
a random fact. If you were able to take 5% of Apple's average yearly income, you would be able to create an entire city.
You ain't lying.
5% of Apple's average yearly income, you would be able to build an entire city.
But I
So,
hate to
like
say this,
you
they
were
get
just
they
saying,
get it, they get it
Yeah, because
overvalued
they
right
had
now.
to. No,
like
they
you were
had
just saying, if with a
3
small, you don't have to take
trillion,
over.
right?
You don't have to take over all of Apple. You don't have to take over all of it. Just get a
Yeah.
small piece of it. Just get a small piece of it, and you will be able to create something that will end up growing and building into something you would probably never even imagine.
You ain't lying.
5%.
You do the numbers, you see how would that look like.
Imagine like investing in like 5% of Apple way back like what in the early 80s or something. Was it the 80s or was it the 80s or 70s of
Look
Apple?
what Apple.
I
Look
want to
at what
say
Apple
80s.
does.
in the 80s.
Look, let me tell you what Apple do. It's no different from Dell and the rest of them. They buy these small upstart companies that develop certain technology they couldn't do for themselves. They'll buy it, have to do work for them for a while. When the people learn the technology, they make sure they fit out that company. For example, Beat.
Man, you said 80s. I don't even think it was that far back. I want to say it was the early 2000s because the first iPod didn't come out till like 2000 something.
No, hold on, no, but
Because
well,
in the
I
90s,
know that like
because
the
in the
iPods.
90s we was running around with tape players and CD players. I'm talking about the anti-skip when you had to hold the CD player a certain
He's
way.
correct.
So
You know
then
why?
that's the 90s. It had to be the 2000s.
Before the iPod, they were going downhill with the finance. They kicked out Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs quit at Apple. The board of directors kicked him out. He had his own thing called Pixar. The real was losing money. They brought him back in, and he created the iPod. The
Okay,
iPod catapulted their capital
April 1st.
to a
Because
whole new level.
what was it called? The Zoom. It was a Zoom. They had the other MP3 player that tried to come out and compete against the Apple.
That
The
was
Zoom. Yeah, I remember that.
Microsoft, not that great in terms of merchandise.
Yeah.
That's
So,
why I tell people at the expert, don't buy the Surface laptop. It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
okay, well, Apple. Okay, well, here's the thing. Okay, Apple was founded in. Oh, where I have the date. The date was April 1st, 1976,
Okay.
in
Okay.
Los Altos. That's
And
probably like
competitive.
that's probably
Okay.
the
That's what you were
moment.
talking about there.
Yeah, like when it was first founded. So that's because remember, like if you heard like Steve Jobs' story, like it started with like him building a computer, I think, in his garage. Or was that was Bill Gates, one of them.
They both.
Microsoft came out before Apple.
They were both of
Right,
them.
so- okay, so then that was
They,
Bill Gates, then, so I'm
they,
getting that
they
mixed
both
up.
came
But
from the same start. It's just that
yeah,
Microsoft started before Apple did. They were
hmm
both competition. That was nothing from Michael Dell. Michael Dell started from his own garage. Every one of those people started building from their own garage. They were students of the
so
game.
all right, let me look at Apple's first technology. Hold on.
You'd be surprised. If you go to Micro Center, they have a a wall full of all the big icon of IT who contributed big time.
All right, now I know this is
Microsoft is my favorite
definitely
store.
off the. I know this is definitely off the topic from what we shared, but
It's a good
I
time to
can't
talk
help it when
about.
it comes to like technology. I gotta dive into this. This was Apple's first product, and I think the first Apple computer was. It looked like since 1976.
Yep.
Let me see.
Ooh, the
Oh,
fatbacks.
Oh, I
yeah, you
hated
remember
those.
those?
I
That
hated
one
those.
was like in the early
I hated
2000s.
those.
Fatback.
They had a back in the late 90s. Those was annoying dick.
Yo, and talk about heavy as a motherfucker. Heavy as a motherfucker.
That I remember back in my high school. They had that in my high school back then in Silver Jet High School. We could play way in the way of Carmen San Diego with a floppy
hmm
disk. A big floppy disk, 5.5 inch. You throw that thing like a ninja star.
Yeah, the technology sure came a long way. On a side note, Steve Jobs reminds me of well, his younger self reminds me of Ashton Kutcher.
He
But
does.
anyways, though, I will have to wrap this up because I gotta get ready to set up the live stream for the ladies' night. But definitely tune in within an hour and 30 minutes. Uh,
No problem.
yeah, I'm gonna shout you guys out real quick. First, let
It's
me
a
close
problem. I
this.
got work to do anyway. I got to do laundry. I got to get things done. My grandkids are here. I have to spend time with them. You saw them,
What?
my grandson popping up, trying to grab the mic. He loves his grandpa. That's what it is.
Go ahead,
I
Black
love
David.
it.
Shout out your YouTube channel again.
My YouTube channel, you just look up my name, a Canadian born Nigerian. You'll find it. You'll find out to be me. As you see my name right there. Or look up my name by David Olaya Ayeni. I'm also on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram. I'm also on LinkedIn. You type in my name, David Olaya Ayeni, on LinkedIn.com. I'm also there as well.
All right, thank you, brother. Salute. 100 watts.
What's happening? What it is? I go by the name of 100 Watts, and I love those that love me. Look, I'm gonna make this quick. I'm gonna need y'all to do me a favor, okay? You see it right down here below me at 100 Watts _ 2fly. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter right now. What I also need you to do, I need you to go to YouTube, search Finesse Visions. hit subscribe, tap that bell, and get all notifications. I need you to hit all notifications so that way you can be notified whenever we go live or we drop videos. Tomorrow, I have a brand new episode of Pops Knows Best going live. Tomorrow, we will be talking about what makes a leader. I'm going to give y'all a sneak peek, and I'm going to tell you it's only 3 things that really makes a leader. Okay? We're going to talk about what makes a leader. I need y'all to hit the subscribe. Make sure y'all tune in. Come rock with your boy one time. 7:30 to 9:30 Eastern Standard Time is when we're going to be going live. And if you know the motto, go hit say along. I don't know about you, but I feel good. Y'all stay beautiful, man.
All right, salutes to the brothers. Now
Salute,
I
y'all,
gotta give
salute.
to the best of the West, Mister. If you know,
Dun, dun,
now
dun,
you know.
dun.
Thank you, y'all. Thank you. Much love to everybody. Shout out to everybody in the comment section, Cloud Nation Media, K Marion. Shout out to 100 Watts, you know what I mean, in the comments as well. Don Harden, Sherelle. Shout out to everybody, man. You know, who's in the comments who helped support it. Candid Ann, Arshawn Dave, you know what I'm saying? Juice Loops, you know what I mean, from Twitch. You know what I mean? Definitely, you know, shout out to you as well. Simon Hectic, Quantum Love Metaphysician, Hanifa, thank you for jumping on as well. Mr. Nemhard, thank you for jumping on as well. Sir, we definitely appreciate you. You know what I mean? And definitely, you know, shout out to everybody who jumped in the panel. You know what I mean? And definitely like subscribe to what they're doing. Like subscribe to Vanessa Visions, 100 Watts. You know what I mean? Definitely like subscribe to Sir Hill Speaks, Hanifa Naya, Candid Ann, Canadian born Nigerian. Definitely like subscribe to all these channels, man. You know what I mean? And most definitely like subscribe to Knowledge and Relationships, all right? Definitely do that. Remember, if you don't like to subscribe, no hearts for you on Valentine's Day, all right? And I mean that. And I am the network manager for Knowledge and Relationships. You know what I mean? Catch me at MR if you know, 1984. Yet again, MR if you know, 1984. Thank y'all for rocking out with us. M3, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. You know. Go ahead and highlight myself. All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Knowledge and Relationships on YouTube. Shout outs to all the people that joined in the panel to make this happen. Okay, if it wasn't for you guys that joined the panel and the ladies as well, too, we will not be having these spicy type of topics. And thank you, everyone in the chat for tuning in. And stay tuned for within an hour and a half, like I said again, 6:00 p.m. Pacific time tonight. Knowledge and Relationships will continue with Ladies Night, and they will be talking, do all women lack accountability? So you know there's going to be another hot topic as usual, so stay tuned for that, and let's see what the ladies will have packing. With that being said, before anybody else, goes with their separate ways or comes back here, make sure that you ladies and gentlemen get your minds right. And as always, thank you again. We are out. Peace, everyone. Laters.
Later.